Big news, breaking news on the 40 acres. Bit of shocking news as well when it comes to Texas baseball. Also, we'll talk some Texas football, most indispensable players for Texas football this upcoming season. Also, the biggest trap game on the schedule via Athlon Sports. We'll talk about their latest commitment that they got on the O-line. Shout out to the Pancake Factory. Also, we'll get into the latest attendees for the Big 12 Conference, which we will be attending the Big 12 Conference Media Days. We'll get into that too coming up. We go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll also talk Astros, Go Stros, and Rangers as well. And we'll get into the Yankees. Big news from the Yankees, as always. Seems to be big news from the Yankees. But history made. We'll get into that too coming up in the next segment when we talk Major League Baseball. There may be a scandal brewing for the Georgia Bulldogs, back-to-back college football champions. But they got some dirt, don't we all? We'll get into that too coming up a little bit later on. We'll go NFL news, notes, and nuggets in the top of the 4 o'clock. And we'll go NBA discussion in the top of the 6 o'clock. The Wemby effect in full effect in San Antonio. All that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He's one of the hardest working members for the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know he's underpaid. And he's known as the Idealionaire on the show as well. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick?
I'm doing good. Did you see the basketball hoop went up outside today?
No, I did not see
the
it.
Basketball hoop's up at the office now.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to go put up some shots between Baldo, Linens, and Sirius tonight.
I was thinking you're up here early, too, so you might be able to do it like as exercise during the day, but then you're sweating, and you got to take a shower.
Wait till 7 o'clock. We get off the air here, and then I got an hour between this and Instant Sirius, and I should do more show prep. I'm probably just going to go shoot some hoops.
Then nobody will be offended by the smells of you just sweating for an hour.
I'm just in this room,
there.
too. It's really whoever has to be in this room next. The little tiny.
But they don't have time to air out.
No, it's just going to make this room. We'll see if it stays overnight, and Ty in the morning will be like, what happened in here?
No. Because I feel you on that. I mean, I'm a sweater. Like, it's, trust me, I sweat all the time. I got to end up taking 2 showers. Like, man, I just sweat too much. I'll have, like, some meetings during the day or have stuff I do during the day, and I'll by 1 p.m., I'm like, man, I got to go home and take a shower.
Yeah.
I think I've literally sweat through this outfit that I got, and I don't feel fresh enough. I don't feel fresh enough.
No,
right.
That's how I was going on vacation. And it was like, all right, so you have to pack, and then you're like, man, I'm sweaty. I got to like cool down, and then loaded the car, and then had to take a shower before going on vacation.
Exactly.
Because you were like, I'm drenched.
Yeah. No, I've already taken 1 shower today. I'm probably going to take another one. But trust me, if I had stuff to do, it's possible you could end up with a 3-shower day. 2 shower days in the summer for me, and that's from H-Town, so that's just always the case. You just sweat too much. And listen, there's nothing more. Let's talk about social contracts for a second then. Before we get into Texas, go behind the burn orange curtain, Texas baseball. Let's talk about social contracts. Because, first of all, some people violate social contracts and it has no effect on them. It does not weigh on their conscience, and good for you. We call those people a-holes.
Yeah, not good for you. Bad for you.
An example of social contracts are lines. Now we've all agreed, hey, we're in a line. First person that comes, you get the service or the product, whatever, because there's a line here. We're civilized, okay? That's probably the most basic social contract that we all do our best to abide by.
I do have a caveat for this now, though.
Oh, you don't like the line?
No. So after COVID, bars, during COVID, everybody had lines at bars. Instead of everybody belling up to the bar, not safe, everybody would do a line.
Being close.
Then I've gone to bars now, and there will be a line and a whole empty bar and one line. And I'm like, y'all, we can get up to the bar again, man. Belly up to the bar.
Get up to the bar,
Come
man.
on, hey, man.
Go compete.
We're not doing a line. I'm not standing 12 feet away from the bar right now, waiting in a line.
Nothing more annoying than having to compete for a bartender's attention.
Oh.
Especially when there are hot women around. I'm a decent-looking black man, but trust me, when it comes to trying to get bartender's attention, now if there's a little hottie back there, I got a shot.
Yeah.
But in the heyday, when you're going out, all right, when you're doing your thing, that is a competition we all can relate to. You have to go compete for the bartender's attention. And it's tough.
Well, no, and then it's like you go to a bar that you've been to for a while, and then there's a new bartender, and you're like, well, now I got to tip the crap out of this person
you want to
the
get
next
to know
4
one.
times
That's the key.
so that they know that they're like, hey, man, I tip well.
I hook you up.
I tip well.
I'm
Just
worth
get me.
it. I'm worth your attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you blow me off, that's like 2 less beers, which is like $3 or $4 less you're getting on your tip.
That's true. No, I agree. I was always that guy. I was like, listen, once me and the bartender started vibing, hey, listen, you're gonna get a hell of a tip, and just know my name and know when you see me, so I can approach you by name, and then you can go like, hey, you will prioritize me.
Yes.
At that point. No, trust me, we all had that time. I don't know any bartenders these days, but
I still know a few.
I need to hang out with Patrick more. But in my heyday. But also, that's getting back to the social contract thing, right? Those are social contracts at work there. Even tipping, actually, is kind of a social contract these days. It really is. Like, some people base 15%, and some people decide, hey, 15%, you got to earn it 15%. And that's kind of where we're as a country. I worked in the service industry, so I'm kind of a base 15% guy. You're going to get that from me. You got to earn the rest of it.
Yeah.
But I get it.
What's your thought process on tipping for things that didn't used to have tips?
Oh, yes. This is a new thing.
When they're like, hey, would you like your pickup order? And you're like, I'm going to drive down there. I'm going to go pick it up. No service really required. And they're like, cool. So you want to tip 20%? You're like, whoa. I don't even mind throwing you $1.
I know.
But you want 20% for nothing?
And the upsetting thing about that is they want that. If you order online, usually you do that beforehand.
Yeah.
Before you even get the service.
So you know they know.
And my hope is that they see the generous tip and go, hey, let me really pay attention to this order and make sure it's right, hook them up. That's the hope. But that's not, that's like you got a 50-50 shot at that being the case. Somebody
if you've ever hired a contractor for anything, you know that is not the way. If you pay a contractor up front, your house ain't getting done for a year. You gotta make them want that money.
That's different. That's an actual contract that they just want to be. I know there are just obviously nightmare stories about that. But another kind of social contract is, say somebody's getting on the elevator right before you, and the elevator starts to close. The expectation is, I'm like, oh, you will at least hold the elevator for me.
Yes.
Social contract, right? Just like the line. A door, same thing. You don't let the door slam in somebody's face. They're right behind you. No. Yeah, it's even more than, for men, it's more chivalry too. But if somebody's walking right behind you, you don't just let the door slam. You usually, put a foot there to hold the door open, or put your hand there to hold. That's just a social contract thing. What's the most violated social contract on the books today among us citizens in our society? What is it? I tell you what I think it is. No, Joe, I tell you what I think it is right now. It's driving fast in the left-hand lane.
Yeah.
Passing in the left-hand lane. The left-hand lane should be for passing. If you're moving, go ahead. That's the left-hand lane. Yeah. It's for you. If not, get the hell over. To me, in terms of who violates the rules of our social contract of our society the most, that is the most violated one. And it's like, why the hell are you in the left-hand lane if you are not passing or the fastest driver on the road? If you're not, you need to get the hell off the road. Those are the rules. You need to be paying attention to your surrounding. If somebody's moving faster behind you, get the hell over. All right? They are the ones saying so. They're dictating the tempo.
Hey,
you are no longer dictating the tempo. You cannot decide that freeway and roadways and highways, hey, I can drive anywhere. That is not the case. There's a social contract that the left lane is for passing. All right? And if you're in the left-hand lane and somebody's behind you, then get the hell over. They're passing.
Well, for the record, you want that, too, because you want somebody going 95 miles per hour in front of you.
Yes, you want a rabbit.
They're the rabbit.
Everybody knows what a rabbit.
And you're like, cool, if I go 85, I know 95's ahead of me.
Get over.
As long as I can see them, I can go pretty fast.
We all benefit.
Yes.
We all benefit from you abiding by the social contract. Come on. Get the hell over. That's mine.
How many times in a month do you George Costanza and just do we're living in a society?
I was literally thinking about it, Patrick. That's how I know we've been hanging around each other too much. I was literally thinking about it too. We're living in a society. What are you doing? Come on. Get the hell over. Everybody's trying. Everybody's got somewhere to go. We all got somewhere to go. We all got to be there at a certain time. All right, we're all in this thing together. It literally is a rat race. We're in it together. Yeah. Most of us, there's a lot of downsides. There's some good. Hey, we just try to make it work. All right, abide by the social contracts, man, and make it easier on everybody. I see text here says, I like Ike. It's the courtesy wave, Rod. Yes, you're right. It also up there in the top 3 is courtesy wave.
Yeah.
If I decide to let you over in traffic, all right, I make your life easier. I decide to sacrifice for the good of society and to help you, and I don't get a courtesy wave?
Oh.
Wait, I thought we were living in a society. Are you serious? You can't even just lift your hand so I can see it?
I do a 3-part courtesy wave. I do the wave when I'm pulling in, and then when like traffic starts to move better and you're going, I give another wave, and then like if you see me like that, no, we're good.
You're like a stalker.
Every window that you're gonna see me in, you're gonna wave for each window you're seeing me in.
You start stalking them basically like, hey,
just thank you.
But I'm so, come on, man. Courtesy wave, guys. A shout out to my man Trey Ellie. All right, made his damn Twitter handle. He was so passionate about the courtesy wave. Give a courtesy wave. Come on. Somebody let you over. Be thankful for that. That is a person who has decided not to be an a-hole when it seems like most people in today's society have decided, you know what, it's easier to be an a-hole. Yes, it is. It is. It is. I will grant you that. It is easier to be an a-hole. But let's all struggle.
But we're living in a society.
We're living in a society. Let's struggle to try to guard against the a-hole, the inner a-hole in all of us.
Yeah.
We all got one in us. It usually wins when we're in the airport.
Airport is one, yeah.
Airport, it's hard for everybody's an a-hole at the airport. Everybody is.
Yeah, at the airport, if you see a line where someone's not paying attention and you see that gap in the line,
like, I'm going.
And you know it's a gap in the line. 90% of you is like,
hey, I'm going.
Hey, if I just cut right in here,
this person don't get
who's going to stop me? Because they're not telling him.
Hey.
Like, they've already not told him that he needs to scoot up.
Exactly. Nobody has hinted.
No one in here is going to do this.
Yeah, so it's up to me. I got to take care of me now. That. Everybody knows the airport. That's where manners go to die.
Yeah.
Manners go to die at the airport. So if you can be a good person at the airport, then God bless you. All right, that's when I try my best. I'm like, no, be a gentleman at the airport. Try to help people out. You know what I mean? Look out for people. All right, anyway, I think that was Rod's rant. No need for Rod's rant today. Started off the show with it randomly.
Off the show. Someone was driving 55 in the fast lane on the way to the office today.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. And of course, these traffic things, don't judge people. Don't profile them based on their cars. And then I would say road rage leads to accidental racism. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah. I told you my tip for road rage.
Just
do it. Just do a voice.
Just
do a funny voice when you're yelling at somebody, and you'll yell. Like, you'll still get mad, but if you do a funny voice when you're doing it, like, I'll just do English accent because then it's just a silly.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
Oh, pardon me, sir. Could you not be the worst type of person in the whole universe, pulling in front of me with no turn signal whatsoever? You do that, and then like a minute into it, you're laughing because you're like, this is the dumbest thing.
Because you have exposed the idiocracy of road rage. Because nobody benefits from it. But you're right, that actually, at least you'll laugh. At least you'll get some joy from it. And hard to switch from road rage to joy, but that's a great way to do it.
So you got to train yourself.
Mine would
train
be
your
Jamaican.
brain.
I'd probably go some Jamaican accent. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you got me off of, man?
You can cut a wrestling promo if you want to. Do your wrestling voice on it. Tell them I'm going to drop an elbow from the top rope. It'll all work.
That's how it all works. All right. I'll read some of your guys' responses at the end of this segment. We'll get to some of that because I know you guys have responded. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Okay, let's get to the big news because this was a little bit surprising, if not shocking. Texas baseball is reportedly, based on the Kendall Rogers report from D1Baseball.com, they are parting ways with their pitching coach, Woody Williams, after just one season. The former San Jacinto College assistant replaced Sean Allen, who left Texas after the 2022 season after spending 5 years on David Pierce's staff as the pitching coach. Kendall Rogers also points out that the Horns were 10th nationally in terms of team ERA, 4.18 clip. So Pierce will be basically trying to hire his fourth pitching coach since he's been head coach. And, of course, it'll be his third in 3 years.
I guess he likes doing job interviews.
Yeah, I'm assuming this was just a change. This was just a disagreement in philosophy of some kind.
Yeah, I know. I believe
they weren't. I mean,
I saw that apparently he only had a 1-year deal, so this is not something where they're necessarily even firing him and got to pay him out. It was just if he had a 1-year deal, then it was a trial run for a year anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out, but.
Okay. That's, you can justify that. That's just, that's a lot of turnover, but they've still been able to win games. I mean, even despite that kind of turnover with the pitching staff, still been able to win some games. But it's interesting that that change is being made for Texas baseball. So I'm sure we'll see some more reports about maybe what prompted it, what the reason may have been. But right now, that's all the information that we have. And Murray just rebuilt the coaching staff.
He did. I know that
just last offseason.
I know Harge just tweeted out a few minutes ago that he wouldn't be surprised if they tried to bring Tulo back into the mix, considering he didn't go anywhere last season. That may be somebody they reach back out to and see if he has any interest in coming back. So, I mean, this may be something of, and you may look at some old names too, but it seems that every offseason is going to be a journey with David Pierce.
Okay. Can I tell you? Listen, I like David Pierce. Let me just throw that right now. I like Coach Pierce. I think Coach Pierce has done a damn good job. Yeah. And I was informed by some behind the scenes. Remember the Austin Business Journal article that reported out about NIL compensation, and it had Texas 10th? And they did say in the article, and I mentioned that it was limited information they were working with. They didn't have all of the NIL records and all of the deals. They had a limited amount of information, and they did the article based on the information they had. They did a good job, though. And I love Austin Business Journal, too. But, yes, there are powers behind the scenes that are working to make these NIL deals private. And actually, I think the new law actually helps them in a lot of ways. So there are kind of new privacy statutes in the new law that help NIL. So they won't just be public record, all of these deals. Some of them are because maybe the companies want them to be, but not all of them. And I was informed by somebody who is well connected behind the scenes with Texas baseball. The Texas baseball is not 10th in terms of NIL fundraising. Now maybe some of these people look at compensation and fundraising as different things, but in terms of fundraising, they were in the top 5. Like they were, and they were doing pretty well. So I just throwing it out there so people are well informed that I did get somebody hit me up and was like, hey man, they ain't 10th. In terms of fundraising. So there are people working hard behind the scenes with Texas baseball, but this is the point I want to bring in. I talked about this actually when we were discussing Texas, Oklahoma, actually, and going to the SEC. I brought up this very same conversation. Oklahoma football, I'm not sure how good they're going to be. I mean, I think that Oklahoma's one of the historically great football programs in this country. Hell, they're a better football program than Texas. That's just the reality of it. Sorry, I know that's offensive, but that's just the truth. And, I brought up that I don't know if Brent Venables is going to be able to live up to expectations there at Oklahoma. Because when you think about it, the odds and the probability of Oklahoma hiring 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row who are considered top 5 coaches in their profession consecutively. I mean, how many times that happened at the college or the pro level with any organization? The Steelers were the one great example that was brought up, and they did it. All right, that with Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher and then Mike Tomlin. It's really tough for any organization or program to hire 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row who are considered to be like top 5, top 10 in their respective industry, basically within a couple of years of them being hired. Texas is hired, like basically went 2. Like Texas, that's I'm not saying that Coach Pierce is not going to be awesome. He's great, but same thing I said about Brent Venables. Is it possible that he's good, but just not a Hall of Fame top 5 coach? And maybe that's the pressure, is that following one of the GOATs, that maybe it's just really tough to live up to whatever that standard is. They always say you don't want to follow a legend. You want to be the person that follows the guy that follows a legend.
It is. But, I mean, we talk about this in football. The standard is the standard. And Texas baseball has a very high standard. At what point, and I know this is a rebuilding year, so I'm not, because I think David Pierce has done a great job in a lot of what he's done in coaching. Like, if you want to take away, where some people may have different opinions of him personally, or where some people don't appreciate his changes in coaching staff, on the field product, he's put out a good product year after year. But if the standard is the standard, and he is not getting to have that breakthrough year yet, is there going to be a point where people say, well, we know he's really good, but we need great, because the standard at Texas is greatness.
Exactly. It's like, what's the breakthrough? Winning a national title.
Yeah,
it's like, well,
exactly. No, and
that's what I'm saying.
That's the question, though, is if that's the standard, where at what point is there?
That's their standard.
And so that's where it is with David Pierce. When you talk about anything of, them possibly moving on, and again, not this year, I don't think any reason to do that, but if you talk about it in any offseason, it's not going, wow, what a bad coach, or he's failed miserably. It's like, no, the standard is just unbelievably high. And when you talk about Venables at Oklahoma, you're like, the standard is just unbelievably high, and you're about to go to a new conference, and you're about to add all these things onto it. Are you going to be able to, even if you're winning 10 games a year, how long is Oklahoma going to be okay with that winning 9 games a year? And you go, are they going to be happy with 9 wins?
Yeah.
Or do you have 5 straight winning seasons, and they go, well, we're not playing in a January bowl game, so you're fired?
No, they were getting antsy about Bob Stoops late in his career.
Yeah.
Because Big Game Bob couldn't win the big game.
Yeah.
That was the irony of the nickname, but he won a national title, so that cemented him. And then Lincoln Riley, even though he's producing number 1 overall picks and got them in, multiple Heisman finalists at the quarterback and winning the Big 12, I mean, just to the point where it's almost embarrassing for every other team in the Big 12. Yet still they were like, hey man, when's the national title coming? Like, when is it? I mean, you got to win a national title, and then all of it is considered retrospectively. We'll look back, and then all of your accolades and all of your accomplishments and achievements will be credited with a kind of new level of respect. And that didn't happen for him. He ended up going to USC because I think he's probably thinking to himself, like, listen, here at Oklahoma, we got a lot of expectations, and maybe I don't have as many resources as I need to achieve the expectations here at Oklahoma. I can do that better at USC.
Yeah.
Because even Oklahoma has limitations. And he chose to go to another program where he felt had a better chance for him to reach the ultimate level, which was USC. And nobody disagrees.
Yeah.
But boy, I agree with you about David Pierce. I think he's in a situation where the standard is a national championship at one point, and if you're not getting close to that, Texas baseball fans don't get satisfaction from just really successful seasons.
Yeah, making it to a super regional, sadly, is thought of as a losing season for Texas. And you can say, again, this was a rebuilding season that the expectations were probably over. Like, you probably went over them this year for rational expectations.
Yeah.
However, also that goes into with the transfer portal, there's never supposed to be a rebuilding year in sports ever again. That is another expectation now from people is, oh no, there's a transfer portal. You should be able to get the best name. LSU is not going to rebuild. We expect LSU to be in the national championship game every single year from here on out.
There's no patience.
And so now that that's a thing, there is no rebuilding anymore, and there's not. So as much as it is wholly, a unrealistic expectation that there's probably 5 to 10 programs in college baseball that will say, if we don't win a national championship within the next 4 years, then we've failed. And that's 10 schools saying that. So 6 of them, bar minimum, will be disappointed. That's the fact of people with a lot of money who are giving this money up at a certain point will get frustrated. And so we as fans who are not necessarily donating, we have a much longer leash.
No, I think fans are patient, but I do, like I said, I think the standard for Texas baseball might be higher than any other standard for other than swimming and diving.
Yeah.
But other than swimming and diving, I don't know if there's a program on the 40 acres that has a higher standard for their program and for the winning and the actual, like I said, the expectations.
Yeah.
For whoever is taking over. And I think David Pierce is doing a good job, but good may not be good enough for a lot of Texas baseball fans. That's just a reality. And is that fair? No, that's not fair, but that is Texas in a nutshell. Like, even CDC says, hey, man, I expect you to be top 10 every year. Texas baseball top 10 this year? So it's, like I said, the expectations are really high, and no, it's not fair. Texter says here, Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer. Oops. Yeah. I mean, how many? Think about it. Give me the example, other than the Steelers, of a team or a program at highest levels in major sports somewhat, and we can be very, generous with that definition, that's hired 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row. And they're considered elite coaches. Like, within their first 2-3 years, they're like, oh, no, they're top 5 in this profession. They're legit. Oklahoma, that's what I said, Brent Venables might be damn good. I don't know if he's good enough. And like I said, I think Coach Pierce is a great coach. And here, he's definitely got all the resources here at Texas to achieve the ultimate goal. And I think Texas baseball fans are just not patient. And I don't blame them, because we live in a microwave society where you don't have to wait for a damn thing. And Patrick just mentioned the transfer portal, so there's not a lot of patience. Yeah, good is the enemy of great, Texture says. Yeah, that is also true.
Yeah, I mean
that when the standard is the standard, don't let your expectations affect my standard, man.
No, and I think we saw this with Tom Herman to a point too. Was all right. Well, we see this, and we see you're doing all these things, and we know what you can do really well, and we're willing to grow with you, but we need you to grow. And I think that's where people are with David Pierce, is when we see guys getting let go year after year, and you see the same trends happening year after year. You'd like to see something change, because if what you're doing isn't working at the level it needs to, then you'd like to see go, well, are we just going to hire a new coach every year, and that's going to be the thing of that's why we did it? Are people going to keep leaving? Are people going to stay? Or I think that's where the story, when you saw it come out, was why it was so surprising, is you said, okay, we went with you. You said, hey, these other guys, they want to go their own way. They're not happy with the way I'm coaching. I'm going to bring in some of my guys, and we'll do this. And then we already know that Woody's gone. There's reports that he may not be the only one who leaves. So I think that's where people may be frustrated, is because it's just behind a wall that we don't know what's really going on. But when you look at it, it seems like that's the problem, to have, coaches continually rotate like that.
It's it's a burnt orange curtain. That is a problem. No, that's obviously, if you're rotating coaches a lot, there's something going on. No, unless you're Nick Saban, right? You Nick Saban, you rotate coaches because everybody keeps poaching your coaches.
Yeah,
and that's great because you're having ultimate success. This is not that situation. Texter here says we are going to have to seriously step up our pitching game to remain competitive. With Wake Forest, Pitching Lab, LSU, Florida, and Tennessee, we aren't even close to their pitching prowess. So maybe that's a big part of it, that they just way behind the times. Texter here also says, hey, guys, what am I missing with David Pierce? Why is everyone always hating on him? He's been to the World Series 3 out of his 7 years. Go and look at Augie Garrido's last 10-year stats. Yeah, but I think what Augie had is, national titles on his resume.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you win that. Like I said, Bob Stoops won a national title in his second year at Oklahoma. And then after that, the big game Bob thing became ironic almost.
Yeah.
Now, he was winning Big 12 titles, but not national titles, but he established the standard. And I always said about Mac Brown became a prisoner of his own excellence.
Yeah.
After those multiple double-digit win seasons in a row, where they go 9 double-digit win seasons in a row, Longhorn fans are going, okay, listen, I'm tired of the double digits. I need more. I need a Big 12 title. I need a national title. Your double-digit wins don't impress me. I remember Mac Brown being on the hot seat winning double-digit games.
Yeah.
Because he's losing to Oklahoma, and Texas is not winning a Big 12 title. I remember that. I lived it. I was there. So it's the same. He's a prisoner of his own excellence. And I think that can become the case for, maybe a lot of, like I said, Bob Stoops was like that too. He established, I'm a national title caliber coach. And then after not winning national titles, Oklahoma fans are like, come on, Bob, impress me. It's almost like when Russell Westbrook won the MVP in the NBA for averaging a triple-double in the first time since Big O did it in the NBA. What we're talking about, 40, 50 years, something like that, whatever it was. And then he did it the next year, and nobody gave a damn. It's like, yeah, we've seen that already. Do something different. Impress me.
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. And that essentially is how kind of Texas baseball fans are. They're like, yeah, I'm not impressed with you going to the College World Series. I need a title.
No.
And after that, you good.
Yeah, if you look at what Steph Curry does on a nightly basis, people will look at Steph Curry now and go like, yeah, we get it. You hit threes at an unrealistic rate, and you're a great ball handler. But you've done that for years.
You already did it.
So what's the next level? That's I think where David Pierce is hitting, and it's just every offseason seems to have the stories that are negative, not positive. And when you're kind of walking that line, at least Augie Garrido, you had a lot more positive stories, and people were telling memories. And you could every offseason you could sell the Kool-Aid. David Pierce has done a god awful job of selling Kool-Aid in Texas.
That's true.
I mean, you remember at the beginning of the season, people wanted the panic button, and people wanted that. That was the level, and then he delivered.
He did. He won the Big 12.
He wins a share of the Big 12, gets to a super regional, and is bad lighting away from possibly advancing in the super regional.
Bad lighting. I like how you put that. You're right, though.
But that's the reality of it. So it's not like, and you don't know if there's not bad lighting. Texas could have been in the game. I don't think they would have been, but they could have. And so I get it that it's unrealistic expectations year after years, but at the same time, the standard is a standard.
We talk about it. I've said it about Texas football. Like, don't let your expectations affect the standard. The standard is a standard. I know Sark had a good year last year, but still didn't necessarily meet the standard. He just had a good year.
Just ask LSU fans.
It's the same way. So I said, I do feel for Coach Pierce because in our realm, and so we deal with more fans, it may be considered ludicrous. He's just like, man, what are you talking about? What do you define success as? Well, it's like Texas baseball fans, their definition of success is different than Texas basketball fans' definition of success. So, yeah, I see why. And I wonder how much of this also is next year, you're going to the SEC.
Yeah.
Where all the big boys in college baseball are. And you've been playing in the minor leagues in the Big 12. Football and baseball. Yeah. It's like, so maybe there's pressure that, man, you better get it together. For Sark, what's the pressure on Sark this year, right? No excuses. Everybody wants to see him compete to win the Big 12. If you can't win this league, how the hell are you going to win the most competitive league in the history of college football? You want to sell hope and change like Obama did? You better win the Big 12 this year. So Longhorn fans go into the SEC confident. If not, all that Twitter trash talk going on right now for Longhorn fans going to cease. If you go in there after winning 8 games in the Big 12 and getting beat by BYU and some other teams.
People are going to have political stances against Elon Musk just to not be on Twitter no more.
Exactly. So it ain't just David Pierce. No, Coach Pierce, you ain't by yourself.
No.
You ain't by yourself at all. Because Sark about to get the heat if there's anything other than 2 losses on that schedule this year. Because that would mean they're not winning double-digit games, which means they're not competing for the Big 12. He's got 2. We're going to give him 2. That's it. After 2 losses, he's going to get eviscerated by Longhorn fans.
Yep.
Because the expectation is, hey, we're the best team in the Big 12.
I mean, I'll tell you, at one loss, Longhorn fans are going to start looking through the want ads. See who's available and who they can get.
Oh, yeah.
And at 2 losses, we're putting an ad in the want ads.
Yeah, 2 losses. Longhorn fans are, at 2 losses, I think it depends on who the losses are and how they happen. I think Longhorn fans are still going to stick with Sark like, hey, he got this. If he gets to 3, which means he's not going to win double-digit games in the regular season, if that becomes the case, yes, that's when the discussion will be had on these airwaves for every other podcast and show about Texas football. All right, so who's going to be the next guy? Like, who's the next up-and-coming coach? Who we going to get? And we want to avoid that conversation, having that conversation too much. Texas baseball fans, some of them want to have that conversation right now. So, it's a tough job, man, being the head coach of any program at Texas. But, hey.
That's why it pays nicely.
I believe Augie Garrido had the great quote, one of the Augieisms, the world is a very different place for winners than it is for losers.
Mm-hmm.
So, just win, baby. That's also a separate quote. That's Al Davis, though. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into some Astros, go Astros, and also some Rangers on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you why I love Bud Light, because we're creeping closer and closer to the weekend. As a matter of fact, we declared the weekend on a Thursday, so it is the weekend. And the best way to enjoy the weekend, which is all about having a good time, is to break out the Bud Light. Bud Light is the sure sign of a good time, so it turns good times into great times and the rest of the times into the best of times. That's why I love Bud Light, and you should too. As a matter of fact, no matter what I'm doing, I always find a reason to break out the Bud Light. Sometimes it's trying to decompress after a long, hard day. So when I get home, I like to pop the top. Sometimes it's just me trying to reward myself after a long day of yard work, something like that. Or maybe it's just a little happy hour with friends and family. Maybe I'm going out. As a matter of fact, last night, date night, went out for a nice dinner. Had to make Bud Light a part of the festivities and the occasion. It is my go-to beer for Longhorn tailgates on Saturdays and my NFL Sundays. And whatever you're doing, whether you want to toast and cheers to a brighter tomorrow or you want to drown your sorrows, it's always a great time to break out the Bud Light. Bud Light isn't just for anybody, it's for everybody. And the best way to get the good times going is to keep that Bud Light flowing. Bud Light is the sure sign of a good time, turns good times into great times and the rest of the times into the best of times. Bud Light, brewed deep in the heart of Texas by Texans for Texans, and damn proud of it. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday on Ball Don't Lie, which means my man Patrick plays jams. That's supposed to give us clues and hints as to what the new theme of the day is. Ooh. Temptations? Heard the grapevine?
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye. Okay, sorry. All right.
It's the California Raisins, That's that's how we all fell in love with it. As kids.
Oh, yes. California Raisins. All right. I don't know what I got from the clue here.
Get a couple in you.
Okay. All right. We'll check on the new theme of the day from my man Patrick. Always doing a great job, so we appreciate that. All right. You can expect sex line. It's been lit lately, 512-337-3776, because of all the discussions we've had, a ton of different discussions. So I apologize for being all over the place. Texter here says that basically, and shout out to my man Chan, who says Texas is a tough job, but it pays well. It does. But let's acknowledge that the expectation is really high at Texas. One texter says, T-Bone here says, a little ominous that he fires Woody Williams on his anniversary hiring. Ooh. Oh, yeah. On David Pierce's anniversary hiring.
Yeah,
right?
I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know if he was thinking about it. One texter also says Major League Baseball teams are starting to use and learn from Wake Forest pitching lab and analytics team. How do we compete with programs like that? I mean, maybe that's part of the discussion that David Pierce wanted to have with Woody Williams about how they were going to compete going into the SEC. And I think a little part of this is going into the SEC next year. I mean, you got not next year, but 2 years from now, the next year in 2024, playing your your next season of college baseball in the SEC down the line. That's got to play a role here too.
And I mean, I could believe too there could be parts of it of, even if you like the guy, if he can't bring you in recruits because he's not the name that people want to play for, you may have to go get a name because you need the players. You can coach them up all you want, but sometimes you need to get a bigger name and get a name that people want to play for. Yeah, and it may just be something where he just didn't have the big enough name.
That could be. I mean, because college sports, a lot of it is about the big name in coaching.
I mean, Tula was a big part of a lot of guys wanting to play with a guy like Tulowitzki. And it was just, and it's, that's completely arbitrary of his coaching, which we've heard was great. But it was people wanted to play for a guy like that, so it was easier to get recruits.
Shout out to my man CB pointed out. Yes, it's just 7 years ago today. Mike Perrin hired David Pierce, and he also points out Coach Gus and Augie are two of the greatest college baseball coaches ever, and Augie is considered the GOAT. Yeah, I mean that's kind of my point. I mean it's like I said, I'm Texas to hit 3 Grand Slam home runs in a row with your hires.
Yeah.
Who does that? The Steelers did it. I mean, it's really tough. Oklahoma's hoping Venables is that. But it's really tough to hit 2 Grand Slam home runs like that, basically Hall of Fame hires in a row. And so, like I said, that is not me knocking David Pierce and saying he's not going to do it. Texas could be the first to do it because what starts here changes the world. My point is I'm a probabilities, trends, patterns guy. You guys know that after now. I'm just telling you, there ain't a lot of examples I can go out and give you of a team in any sport, major sport, that's hired 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row. And Longhorn fans are hoping he's a Hall of Fame coach. Like, that's what they're hoping for David Pierce. Because they're going from Gus to Augie to David Pierce.
Hard to get in the Hall of Fame without a championship.
Exactly.
And I get unrealistic expectations, but the standard is the standard.
The standard is the standard. We should make T-shirts. The standard is the standard.
The standard is the standard.
Yes, Texas. My man CB says Texas just built a state-of-the-art player development facility. Oh, if anybody can do it, Texas can do it.
Yeah.
But LSU is putting a lot of pressure on people too, because we played the audio of Jay Johnson basically saying, in terms of college baseball, we run this. NIL-wise, national title-wise, it's us. We're the standard. Y'all all chasing us. That's what he said it, and they actually proved it on the field. And NIL-wise, they got 3 of them through the portal. And he made a Suge Knight call to arms during the College World Series saying, if you want to get in the portal and you want to get paid for your services and you think you're good enough to play for the best college baseball team in the country, come to LSU.
Hey, let's go look at that MLB draft when this MLB draft happens, and I can tell you I'll have 2 of the top 3 at least.
Exactly.
And It's hard to argue.
Hard to argue that. That's why Lincoln Riley can recruit any quarterback he wants in the country. It's like, oh, you want to be number 1 overall and be a Heisman finalist? You want to see my resume? That's why Tashard Choice can go anywhere in the country and recruit the best running back.
Yeah.
Because anywhere in the world. Because he can go, oh, you want to see my resume? Here. Let me show it to you. You see that? I'm the best.
Just sitting on the couch being like, oh, my phone's ringing. It's a first-round running back.
Yeah. Hold up, Bijan want to talk to you. Hold up, Bijan. Here, Bijan. Hey, talk to him. You can do that.
Yeah.
Like, everybody can't do that. Tashard Choice can do that. He can sit on the, hey, you want to talk to both of the running backs that were drafted in the first round? Hold up, let me get him on a little conference call here for you. Hold up, Bijan, Jameer. Hey, y'all want to talk? I got a running back here, man.
Hey, I'm going to show you some clips of Mel Kiper saying that running back should never be taken in the first round, and I'm going to show you the 2 that I got in there.
There you go. Yeah, man, it's going to be really interesting, that conversation. All right, let's get to the Rangers here really quickly and Astros really quickly. Rangers won 10-2. Told you Rangers, that first game against Detroit, they were just distracted. And then that was a wake-up call, them getting beat by the Tigers in that first game. And the last 2, they've won. That's their 18th, I think, double-digit run game. They had 14 hits. But that wasn't the big story. Dane Dunning was the story. Dane Dunning threw... Hell, I don't know why they didn't just allow him to complete the game. He basically was 1 out away from a complete game. 100 pitches, allowed 4 hits, 0 walks, 10 strikeouts, pitched 8 2/3 innings. He is 7-1 with a 2.69 ERA on the season. He might be the most, unlikely story on the Rangers, and there are a couple of them, but in terms of a pitcher, he doesn't have like elite stuff, average velo, average spin rate. If you look at all the metrics, walks batters at an above average rate, or at least above the league average. But he's got a good complement of pitches, knows how to change speeds and move the ball around. And he's right now, he did have a child this year, so maybe he's got that grown man daddy strength working, but he actually he's having his best season ever. It's unbelievable. Opponents are hitting, how about this? They're hitting 190 off his cutter. They were hitting 293 off of his cutter last season. The slugging percentage off of his cutter is around 214. And he's got 4 or 5 pitches that he uses that he's pretty good at, and maybe that's kind of the secret to him.
Yeah. The Rangers do need some magic here to win the game. They're currently in the top of the 9th, down 8-3.
Okay, well,
against Detroit. So today may not looking as good.
Did they start? Did they start? They didn't start John Grady. They started Corey Bradford, didn't they?
Yes.
See, that was the key.
And he went 4 1/3 and allowed 3 earned runs.
So
he had 8 strikeouts but 3 walks in that as well, so kind of just a rat.
I think they were trying to punt that game because John Gray was going to start it. Now they switched that and said John Gray's going to start versus the Astros.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I think they want to get
a bigger series. Well, in your divisional standings.
Exactly.
You give up half a game against the Astros in a division. That's a full game if you lose a game against the Astros.
Yeah, so they're playing some chess here. They made that switch, so that's nothing against Corey Bradford, but John Gray was scheduled to start. He's going to start versus Houston because that's a really important series for the Rangers. What's the last? This is the most important series for the Rangers since when?
When's the last time they were good?
Exactly. There you go. No, seriously. Rangers fans, Specs Text line 512-337-3776.
Was Nelson Cruz still on the team?
Right? Like, I'm serious. I want to know. I don't know. I'm asking. I'm pleading ignorance here. Rangers fans, this series coming up versus the Astros is the most important series for the Rangers since. You're in first place. Was it still a 5-game lead? On the
6-game lead. 6-game lead.
Dude, if you win 3 games here,
you have a 9-game lead.
You have a 9-game lead.
And now you still the Angels. You still be around.
Okay,
then.
Depending on what the Angels
do.
The
Angels did lose again yesterday as well, so the Astros and Angels are tied again. This 6 games back.
If you want to make a statement, Rangers, this is it.
And if you lose, you're only 3 games now.
Exactly.
That's a huge difference of, even if you just win the series, is the difference between 7 and 4.
Bro, I don't know. I mean, you might have to go back, I'm serious, 5 years or so.
8-4, sorry.
5 years or so when they had a series this big for the Rangers. I don't know.
Imagine, yeah.
I would like to know, Rangers fans, let me know on Specs Text line because this is I'm nervous as an Astros fan, so I know it's a big series for the Rangers because this is one of the first series going up in this divisional series versus the Rangers, their in-state rival, that I've been nervous about in a really long time. I'm not saying they haven't lost series versus the Rangers, they have, but I'm nervous about this one. Could be ugly. Because the Rangers are a damn good team, man. And when they're focused, they're one of the better. They might be the best offense in Major League Baseball. How about this little? Just give it a real quick. If you looking at some of the Rangers standout performance going into the All-Star break, because I mean they're gonna have four All-Stars potentially.
I believe the All-Star starters are being announced today.
Oh, is it? Okay,
I
well,
believe so.
The Rangers might have three. Or Corey Seager, he's batting .345 now. He's reached base in 18 straight games. Ranked second in among players with at least 200 plate appearances. Second in batting average. Third in slugging percentage. Third in OPS. 48 RBIs in 49 games. Actually, now I believe, he's just unbelievable. He's been great. And Adolis Garcia actually has been really good lately too. He now is the major league leader in RBIs with 66. Now, obviously, this is prior to what happened today because stuff is going on today. So, but man, he's been killing it too, and he's got 20 home runs already. By the way, Garcia had 3 straight games with a home run, making it his career high and the longest home run streak by a Ranger in 2023. And so we got 20 home runs, man. He's on pace. Well, we're at the halfway point. He's on pace for 40 home runs.
Yeah. No, they're having a great year. By the way, 2016 was the last time the Rangers had a winning season. So you would guess 2016 would be roughly the last time that they
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a big. That's why I know they made that change. Like, no. This is big. They don't understand how big of it, serious it is. Okay, we come back. We'll take a break. Get the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of our good friends at Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. That's a long time, man. And you see the labors of their love all over this great city. As a matter of fact, some of y'all might be driving by some of these beautiful, iconic, exquisite landmarks right now and not even know it, like DKR Stadium, the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our good friends at Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build the office. So maybe you're looking for an exciting new career choice. Maybe you're frustrated with your career path right now. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs something fresh, something new, something that will challenge you. You can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas, and you can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday. That's my man Patrick plays jams that are supposed to provide us with clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day. And, okay, cutting the deepest. Okay. I'm not going to lie. It's not bringing me any closer to it right now.
Yeah, you get one more. I think the next one, I think we'll get there.
Okay. All right. I'll figure it out. I'll do my best here. Last show, I lost my black card because didn't know that it was Do the Right Thing. I knew that it was a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah.
But I did. I failed to recall the actual title of the film. So, therefore, lost my black card. That's all right. Flex, go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all your social media platforms. We'll get to this list a little bit later on in the week. But I guess there's only one more day left. But I did see that there's a national ranking. The Texas high school teams are being ranked nationally because there's a national high school football ranking. And I just want to give you a couple of teams that may be ranked and where the highest Texas teams are ranked. Duncanville is the highest ranked Texas team on this list. HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. They do rank national teams. They got them at number 8. They got North Shore at number 17, North Shore and H-Town. Duncanville, of course, number 8. They got, if you go look at Katy at number 34, I think. DeSoto's at number 21. Sorry, it's a little scattered because it's like doing it real time, going through the list. Westlake, the first flex area team, number 26 on this list. I'll go through all the teams later on, but the other flex team that finds itself on the list is Lake Travis. They're at 106. Just trying to look for the flex area teams. And Vandergrift is at 65 nationally. I'll go through this list a little bit more tomorrow in some more detail because I just found it. But there you go. Some flex area teams that are ranked nationally. Westlake being the highest ranked flex team at 26th on this highschoolfootballamerica.com ranking. And like I said, the next one is Vandergrift, I believe, at 65. And then you have Lake Travis at 106. It's pretty damn good. I mean, I think they rank 350 teams. Like I said, so I'll go through it tomorrow. We'll have a better breakdown on the flex. All right, we come back. Also, go check out the flex page, FLXATX.com, and you can hear yesterday's flex show with the guys. It was really good. Had some great guests on there, including Adrian Wilson, who is the wide receiver commit for TCU, I believe. Really good player. All right, we'll come back. We'll break some NFL news, notes, and nuggets down for you right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new Theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick P. Dillionaire, he plays jams that are supposed to leave clues and hints, breadcrumbs that lead us to the new theme of the day. Okay, so we got Heard Through the Grapevine.
Yeah. First cut is the deepest. Let's
All
start
right,
with
first
second one.
cut's the deepest, and then this is Backstabber. So we're talking about stabbing, blood,
We're talking
some type
about
of...
duplicitous natures.
Okay,
And lying and cheating.
okay.
And the reason will be today is Kawhi Leonard's birthday.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well done there. And I actually knew that. I knew it was his birthday because I heard Chad talking about it. Wow. Heard Through the Grapevine. Okay, that makes sense too. Cut the deepest. I get that one. And this, the Backstabbers. Wow. Well done there. Well done.
Yeah, just playing some songs for Kawhi.
Wow. His birthday. How old is Kawhi today?
I think 31.
Look at that. He doesn't even know. He doesn't care. He doesn't care how old his ex is. I have described. Now, you're a basketball fan, and of course, you're a Spurs fan, Patrick. So I like this theme here.
Yeah.
Is there an NBA breakup with a superstar? I know lots of NBA breakups, and they're ugly because NBA is a very salacious league.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Latrell Sprewell choked the damn coach. All right. So it's a crazy, wild league.
Which, by the way, I was hearing a story the other day about. I was watching. If you ever watch on YouTube, they have this Ring of the Royale, which is the Spur thing.
Yeah.
And it's like a mini series. They've done like 40 or 50 episodes of it now, right?
Yeah.
And it's all Spurs, like little stories about the Spurs.
Hold on. What is it called again?
Ring of the Royale, which is what the actual Spur thing is.
Where can I find this?
It's on YouTube.
Okay. All right.
So if you just go on the Spurs
All right.
YouTube, you pull it up.
I might check it out.
There's like 40, but it's like one's about David and one's about George Gervin.
I got you.
And then the most recent one, it's just about the kind of practical jokes they've told and them having fun. And then they were talking about how Tim Duncan at the end of every season would have a paintball tournament versus players.
He does
versus,
strike me as the type. He's a nerd.
and he would have players versus
Yes.
coaches.
Yeah.
And they were like, and he would basically, the players all come out fully geared up and ready to go, and the coaches are out there in like T-shirts. And they said that PJ Carlesimo looked like he had chickenpox with how many times they had shot him. They're like getting yelled at him by all year, and they're like, "No, we're gonna light him up."
Oh, that's great. Yeah. No, I mean, you forget about crazy stories. NBA's had so many crazy stories. That's one of them.
Yeah.
But with Kawhi, with a superstar, has there been a more, I don't know, like shameful, almost embarrassing breakup?
I mean,
Considering
LeBron's
how-
up there,
It is, but
but he went back and won a ring.
Yeah, but consider for the Spurs, consider how classy they are,
Yeah.
right? Because as an organization, they
Yes.
just, they really stay away from that. I just talk about the NBA business is a salacious league. They stay away
Yeah.
from that, and yet he brought them into it, and then did them dirt. I mean, we're talking about ghosting a professional athlete, ghosting a franchise. This was the reports where he ghosted the Spurs.
Yeah.
Right? You acknowledge this. Have we seen that happen? That was like he just goes to the franchise and to the point where they had to trade him. And they couldn't even communicate with him. Like I remember there were reports of Pop trying to fly to the West Coast to go see him.
Yeah.
Because he was
really,
unavailable.
Yeah, not really at an MVP level. Allen Iverson would probably be pretty
That's a
close
good
on
one.
that.
That's a good one.
Because he was he would become unavailable at times, and him and George Karl had
That's a good
tons
point.
of beef, and,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Larry Brown had tons of beef.
Yep.
So, I get it that there's guys like that. And Carmelo Anthony and George Karl were the one that they also had. Like, so there's been coaches,
There's been some of those.
but I don't think ever to the extent of – I don't think the coach has ever been ingrained enough that they get away with it. Because normally the player gets what they want.
Because NBA.
And the Spurs, which just worked differently, that they were like, no, we'll move on from you.
No one man
We're
on the
not
team.
firing Pop and our R.C. Buford and the people who gave us a dynasty because you don't like the fact that they want you to play basketball 82 games a year when we're in the NBA. Like, and that's where the Clippers are right now. They don't know what to do because they're basically sold at the point that Kawhi Leonard will not be at their building for at least 10 to 15 games a year minimum.
And they're just hoping that the games that he does play are games in the playoffs and not just regular season
because
games.
he
that
wants
he's
to play
available.
those.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to, like, back to back. I don't play those. And you go, well, you only played 3 minutes in the game in the first game. I played 3 minutes, so I'm not playing in the back to back. What?
Trust me, I get it. But it's the breakup for the Spurs with Kawhi
It's-
was not only bad because, like I said, he he handled it in a very just unprofessional manner. So unprofessional, in fact, that it just was salacious, made headlines. It was like TMZ worthy.
Yeah.
And the Spurs aren't used to that. Well, unless you're talking about, Tony Parker.
And then he went and did it, and then won a title in Toronto, and then did it to them.
Well, but at least he won a title.
He won a title with us, not at his prime, but he won 2014. We don't win without Kawhi.
I agree, but in Toronto, he's the centerpiece. It is him.
Yeah,
it is all him. Nobody's talking about the coach, who's a GOAT. Nobody's talking about the supporting cast that are great. No. They're talking about Kawhi Leonard putting a franchise on his back and becoming the best player on the planet, which he never did for San Antonio. I don't know. He was good.
Yeah,
he was the best
MVP,
player on the planet. He was the best player on the planet the year they traded him away. And he proved it. It wasn't just a talking point. He proved it when he went through the NBA playoffs and took Toronto, usually a team that's meant for the NBA Siberia of NBA teams, and turned Drake into an unbearable presence, but made them a champion. And that will never happen again in Toronto, and y'all know it, but it was only because of Kawhi. I'm not saying he's ever going to do it again, but that's the beauty of the story, is that he reached his zenith at that point. Usually you think, oh, no, karma will catch up to him. It caught up to him, but later.
Yeah.
When he initially was traded, he reached his zenith. So it's like you breaking up with somebody, them breaking up with you and, like, doing you really dirty. I'm talking about just ghosting you and just breaking up with you. And then right after they break up with you, they win the lottery. They win the lottery. They become a millionaire. You're like, what the hell? Come on, karma.
But that's what I'm saying. But the craziest part about it, too, is then he goes to Toronto and then is meeting with Drake and ownership while he's orchestrating a deal to get Paul George to go to the Clippers, and basically walks out of that meeting, gets on a plane and flies to L.A. and never talks to the Raptors again.
Hey.
But meets with them, telling them, no, I'm open to staying. You know what, guys, let's stay. Drake's given up part of his label as part of the deal, and the whole time he's working on a trade to get Paul George to the Clippers. And someone brought up Uncle Dennis, because that was a whole deal in San Antonio.
I
It's like,
remember
Uncle Dennis is the bad guy. And you're like, no, it was Kawhi the whole time. And Uncle Dennis was just a scapegoat because he could do it. But Kawhi is Kaiser Soze, because Kawhi the whole time made it like, man, I'm just hurt. And I'm just like, my injuries are kind of, but you know what? I want to be a good player. And Uncle Dennis was the guy who was telling him he needs to go to a bigger market and all that, right? And then we find out, it's like, oh no, he always wanted to go home. If he could play in San Diego for the worst team in the league and win 5 games a year, but play in San Diego, he would do it tomorrow.
Yeah, because that's his personality. We know now that Kawhi wants comfort. Kawhi just wants to be comfortable. Kawhi is all about now. If I could take comfort over achievement, I'll take it. I just want to be comfortable in my own little zone, and that's great. And we all thought, oh, that's what San Antonio is all about. Yeah. The San Antonio basketball culture is about, make our guys comfortable. We got our own separate basketball culture here, and it's unlike any other NBA franchise in America. But he didn't want that. He wanted to be home or closer to it, and that's why the beauty of the Wemby effect, which we'll get into later on, because the Wemby effect, man, it's crazy. Now they got numbers to back it up already. Patrick's grinning. I didn't mention Wemby's name.
I know.
Reference him, and then Patrick starts agreeing. Went from you should see him. He had a frown on his face. We were talking about Kawhi. He was very upset, and then I mentioned Wemby, and immediately he started grinning ear to ear. And that's the beauty of the Wemby thing. This is why it's Shakespearean, and you couldn't have written it better. Is because you get it after you traded him away and you dealt with him winning a title and all the heartbreak and shame of that and the embarrassment, and now you get the best prospect since LeBron after winning the NBA lottery. By the way, anytime the Spurs are in the lottery, they're gonna win that damn thing, and win the lottery, and you get the best prospect since LeBron James, and all he ever has wanted in his life is to be a San Antonio Spur. Because he doesn't know the NBA culture. Like, he didn't grow up in it. He grew up playing basketball in France and overseas. So all he knows is the perception of, the Spurs overseas, which is they're a dynasty. What are you talking about? They're like 3 dynasties in the NBA, and the Spurs are one of them. It's like them, the Warriors, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like that's crazy, but they're in that discussion, and that's all they know. And that a lot of the French-born players, by the way, the Spurs have had probably more French-born players on their roster than anybody in the NBA. And the NBA, other than the players who are born in North America, France has more NBA players than any other country. And the Spurs tapped into that 20, damn near 30 years ago.
Yep.
They were tapping into that because they already knew. And now the fruits of those investments, that that commitment from decades ago. Now it's paying huge dividends because not only did you win the lottery, but the guy that you won, all he wants to do is be a Spur for the rest of his life.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Right? It is. It's like how does that happen? What?
I am one of the bylines of the NBA free agency that's going to be interesting to see because you haven't really heard any reports, but you don't really hear any reports out of the Spurs. Is Jakob Poeltl, who was part of that trade in the Kawhi Leonard trade. Then Toronto, his free agency is coming up. Spurs don't know what's going to be happening, so they trade him to Toronto at the end of last year at the trade deadline. Get another pick out of him, get all this stuff. And now he's a free agent, but Toronto may be looking to rebuild with Van Vliet going away. So he is now a free agent. He could technically just come back to the Spurs. And when they're looking for a 5, it's possible, depending on what the price is, that you could get him back and fleece Toronto out of. You got him, and look, they got a championship out of the first trade.
They did,
so they can't complain.
No,
but they also got him, and then he immediately left, and they've kind of been stuck in that no man's land ever since. Because when a star player leaves your franchise, you get stuck in no man's land.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Tex says, "What's the deal with Kawhi's uncle?" Yeah, he's living good right now.
Uncle Dennis is doing fine.
There's some Tex says, "It's okay. We ended up with the hotter girl. If he sticks around, Spurs don't get Wembanyama." That's true.
Yeah,
it all worked. Like everything in the universe, it's like the fate. It was serendipitous. It all worked out as it should have.
Yeah.
For the San Antonio Spurs. And you know what, man? It's, to me, and we'll get into that Wemby effect a little bit later on in the show. To me, for Spurs fans, that's the ultimate irony, is that you got a guy. If this guy had if he had, say, the Charlotte Hornets had won the NBA draft, or the Rockets won the NBA draft, you would have to worry about him trying to leave to go to San Antonio.
Yeah.
After his contract was up, because he loves San Antonio that much.
Yeah, and
he'd
by
be
the way,
one free agent that San Antonio could recruit there.
And by the way, time changes everything. There is no set in stone he will play his entire career in San Antonio. I'm not a delusional Spurs fan. It's like, no, he's coming. He's never leaving. Because we know Tim Duncan almost went to Orlando, and if Doc Rivers would have let him take his family on planes, then Tim Duncan would have left. We would have not won 2 or 3 championships.
It's possible.
So, that is all a part of the story where you go, we don't know. Maybe he gets a few years in the league. Maybe some things change. Maybe he meets a girl, and that girl don't like San Antonio. All things possible in the reality of life.
That's true.
But for right now, pretty awesome.
And my thing was, I agree with the Tim Duncan thing, because I remember hearing that story too. Tim Duncan didn't really grow up almost being programmed and indoctrinated as a Spurs fan.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy's got, like...
No, he wasn't. He didn't...
His mom and dad wanted to be a Spurs fan. Like, his family, like, everybody wanted it. The country is like, oh, please, we want the Spurs to win. He's got a video. He's been bragging about it. He's got a video before the lottery of him speaking into existence the Spurs winning the lottery and saying, I want to go to San Antonio, and I want God, please let the Spurs win the lottery. I want the lottery. We haven't seen the video. He says that it exists.
Yeah.
That before the lottery, he made a video saying the Spurs are going to win the lottery, and he was going to San Antonio because that's what he always wanted. That's what he always dreamed of. Come on, man. Tim Duncan ain't ever done no stuff like that. I love Tim Duncan. He ain't done something like that. That's crazy. Like, who grows up wanting to be a Spurs fan? I mean, not a Spurs fan, but a Spurs player.
Yeah.
Sorry, Spurs fan. I know you're great. I love you guys. But Spurs play. No, serious. I'm not knocking the Spurs. They're great.
No, I get it.
It's not a glamorous organization from that
San
standpoint.
San Antonio is not a market that produces a lot of high NBA talent. So
come on, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's amazing. You got the one generational prospect that's like, no. The one team where I could choose a team to play for. It ain't the Lakers. It ain't the Celtics. It ain't the Miami Heat. No. It's the Spurs. What? What are the odds of that? It's unbelievable. Spurs fans. I agree. Some texter says, these Spurs fans are always whining. Yes. Does anyone whine more than damn Spurs fans? No, they don't, because they're not used to struggling. So they've been really, you know what I mean? Life has been so good for so long for Spurs fans. They're not used to struggling. So the couple of years they had struggling, they are so annoying. You need to come live the life of a Texans fan, okay?
I've done both.
Exactly.
Believe me, I've done both.
Thank you. You know, the life of a Texas fan. The Rockets, I guess. Even though a Rockets fan, when I brag about the titles that Akeem Olajuwon won, I got a random NBA fan that's like, you know, MJ retired, they wouldn't have got those. Every time you bring up the Rockets title. You can't discuss a Rockets title about some NBA fan.
And the funny part is,
well, you know, MJ retired.
Now, and by the way, for that argument, if MJ retires, he doesn't win the next 3 if he doesn't retire because they don't rebuild that team. and that team was falling apart because they couldn't keep it together because they're super cheap. Because Chicago still to this day don't pay the luxury tax.
You bringing logic into this conversation?
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you every time I try
maybe Shaquille O'Neal beats him in Orlando, and then he's the guy, and then he never goes to L.A., and then all the dominoes fall.
I want to talk Cowboys here, but I don't know if we have enough time. I don't want to get deep into it without enough time to really assess it. So we'll table that discussion. Let's get into the Travis Kelce conversation here really quickly. I think I can segue that to the Cowboys. So Travis Kelce recently he's doing an interview at Vanity Fair. I mean, that's where my man Travis Kelce is. And now he's doing in Vanity Fair interviews. He's a tight end doing interviews with Vanity Fair.
Hosting SNL?
Hosting SNL. Exactly. Guy's doing pretty damn good. But he says in this article, and I love this. This is great. He says, my managers and agents love to tell me how underpaid I am. Anytime I talk about wanting more money, they're just like, why don't you go to the Chiefs and ask them? He said, when I saw Tyreek go and get $30 million a year, in the back of my head, I was like, man, that's 2 to 3 times what I'm making right now. I'm like, the free market looks like fun until you go somewhere and you don't win. I love winning. I love the situation I'm in. This is wisdom from Travis Kelce. It really is. And Patrick just brought up why. Because the added value of him being the favorite go-to target of the best quarterback in the NFL and a guy who's also in the conversation to be the GOAT in the NFL, like Jerry Rice was to Joe Montana, that kind of stuff. Like, he is going to be synonymous with Patrick. Anytime somebody has a Patrick Mahomes conversation and talking about in 30, 40, 50 years about how great he is, depending on how many titles he wins, they're going to bring up Travis Kelce because no other receiver with Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be as prolific as Travis Kelce. Can I give you some Travis Kelce stats? And my point is the added value he gets. I know he's missing out on some contractual compensation here, but the added value, like I said, he's a tight end going on SNL. What the hell? Not a receiver, not a quarterback, a tight end going on SNL. I don't know has there ever been a tight end in the NFL this famous?
No, I mean, he gets Roger Goodell to come on his podcast and tell jokes. Because he's like, no, this is what we want. This is what every owner wants in the NFL is a guy like you who will take less to be on a good team.
Bro, he did Vanity Fair
as
a tight end in the NFL. He's already had a reality TV show. Like, he did that years ago.
Yeah.
He did
He's
that
got a
years
very
ago.
successful podcast.
And now he's actually getting into acting. And none of this would be possible if he was just the highest paid tight end in the NFL and not winning titles.
Yeah.
And not continuously in the public realm because he is basically attached to Patrick Mahomes' brand because he's Patrick Mahomes' go-to target. So he's smart. Yes, there are other guys. He can go somewhere and get paid his market value. But sometimes it's worth almost reinvesting that market value some other way. And that's what he's doing. He can go get his market value in cash. Or he can decide, no, I'm going to reinvest that. Actually, I'm going to reinvest that in myself. I'm going to stay here. I know I'm going to take a little less money up front, but on the back end, when I'm done playing, my acting gigs and reality TV shows and the stuff that I'm going to be able to do, I'm going to make so much more money than just a guy who's done playing and no longer has earning potential. Yeah. His earning potential now, his window, I think increased by like 10, 15 years. Yeah. He's in Vanity Fair. He's on SNL.
And that's Texas Prop. He's in the match tonight, the golf tournament, like the one where they're like, we're going to get the best players in sports to do it.
Yeah.
And in reality, when we talk about how much more money he can make, realistically, he is the 3rd highest paid tight end.
He is, but I'll give you some stats, though. That's in terms of his justification. So I'll give you these stats about Travis Kelce. So he set career highs last year in targets, receiving, receptions, and touchdowns. He had 152 targets, 110 receptions, 12 touchdowns. He had his second most receiving yards in his career with 1,338. It's the 7th straight season he's had over 1,000 yards. Yeah. Let that sink in. No other tight end in NFL history has more than 4,000-yard seasons in their career. He's basically becoming the Jerry Rice of tight ends. Most receiving yards in NFL since 2015, Travis Kelce. He's 20th in receiver earnings. If you look at wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs, all people who could be receivers. He averages the average top 5 tight end is paid $14.9 million per year. Average top 5 receiver, $27.4 million per year.
Yeah.
The biggest bargain in the NFL right now, arguably, is Travis Kelce.
No, I agree.
but
what would you think if he were to get fair value, but at the tight end position? Because we've seen fair value at running back is not the same as fair value, even if you catch passes. It is not fair value. What do you think if we say the number one is Darren Waller right now? Darren Waller's making about $17 million a year. And so that's the highest paid tight end. How much higher do they go for Travis Kelce in a free agent market for someone to go sign him if he played the free agency market? 20, 25?
Yeah, he'd get 20. He'd get above 20.
He'd get above 20, but if you're saying he's making around 14 now and he would get around 20.
But that's
so if for $6 million a year, future earnings.
Exactly.
It's not like I get it. If you were to make double and you go, oh, well, he's making 20 and he's going to get 40.
If he get paid like the highest paid wide receiver, do it.
That makes more sense because now you're talking about $40 million difference.
But you're going to get paid like the 12th or 10th highest paid wide receiver.
And they're going to give you 3 years guaranteed max, and they're going to cut you in that 4th year. So you're going to make an extra. You'll make an extra $15 million probably.
Yeah. How about this little to give you talking about value of tight ends? Because Patrick's right. He's right. That's why Travis Kelce, whoever his agent is, or maybe he started through himself smart, that, I could go out there and get my market value, but it's just I'm going to make way more money on the back end of this thing. Even now, my market value as a tight end, because the NFL won't let you be classified as just a receiver, you're going to get screwed. Trust me, Jimmy Graham tried it. Le'Veon Bell has tried. A lot of these players have tried. Bijan might try it too. Like, hey, man, I'm an offensive weapon. I want to be paid accordingly. And NFL will be like, no, you're a running back, and that's your value. Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, best tight ends in the league, right? We all agree? They average less average annual salary than Hunter Renfrow, Allen Robinson, and Cortland Sutton.
Jeez.
Exactly. Dude, the NFL, if you're a smart NFL GM, bro, looking for a great tight end, so much value there. Oh, he's 34 now. Texter brings up his age, so he's a little older now, too. That's true. But, man, and by the way, not only is he with Patrick Mahomes, they're going to keep on winning titles, but he's with Andy Reid. He's with arguably one of the top 3 to 5 best offensive minds in the history of the game, too, that knows how to weaponize you. You want to go be a great tight end for some jabroni who don't even know how to call plays? Half the NFL teams this season changed offensive coordinators in the last 2 years. Changed OCs. They change OCs like that and play callers. Happens all the time. You are with the most seasoned, most respected play caller in the league. A guy that's considered one of the top 5 greatest offensive minds in the history of the game. With a guy, a quarterback who's the best in the league now, and some people are saying projects to be all-time one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. And you're going to leave that because you want more money? Listen, I get it. But, man, that's greed.
Yeah.
Like, that would be classified as greed because you're going to get it back. You're going to get it on the other end. You will. You'll get it on the other end. But your career could get cut short if you were with a team with a subpar OC and a bad quarterback. Your career and your earning power drop exponentially because you're not as productive. So for him, it makes sense. Not for everybody else. No, go get your money. Because the world.
Mark Andrews, go get your money.
Yeah, there are exceptions to the rule. He's the exception to the rule. Like I said, he's a tight end on SNL and Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair, I've done the research. I haven't done it, but I guarantee you they've never had a story about an NFL tight end like one of their.
They may have, but not while he was in the league.
I don't know.
Shannon Sharp is still maybe the most famous tight end, but only because of what he did after the career.
Yeah, that's after. I'm talking about like as a player, like while you're playing.
He's years ahead of what Shannon Sharp became.
He's just maximizing his earning power and his earning potential. So. I understand why he's doing it, but that's the best bargain right now in the NFL. I don't know if there's a better bargain out there. And teams like Kansas City, San Fran, Philly, Baltimore, teams with really good tight ends, they understand, hey, I can get a lot of value there. Know if you don't want to overpay for that guy. Cowboys just let Dalton Schultz go. Favorite target of Dak Prescott. They figured we were overpaying for a tight end. Don't want to overpay for that guy. So we'll see. They do got a lot of tight ends they like, though. They like Schoonmaker. They just drafted him in the second round. And they like Jake Ferguson. By the way, Travis Kelce said one of his favorite tight ends in the NFL, Jake Ferguson. That's what he said. So he says Jake Ferguson is that dude. So Cowboys fans are hoping that's the case. All right, we come back. We'll get into this Georgia football scandal. Some of the details from this Atlanta Journal-Constitution article are really, really disturbing. So we'll get into that on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about our friends over at Apple Leasing because you need friends like this. Apple Leasing does a great job of making sure that you get the car you want for the price you want. That's really the crux of it. If you want to know their business model, Apple Leasing has the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Getting the car you want, the perfect car for you and your family, can be a real hassle. It can be a headache. It can be very stressful as well and time consuming. And let's be honest, who has that kind of time and who wants that kind of stress and burden on their plate? What you want to do is let Apple Leasing handle all the headaches and the stress associated with getting the car of your dreams. They can help you get the perfect car for the perfect price. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even help you get, like I said, the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. They have what they call a simple interest, easy lease that makes everything, well, simple for you because it helps you get all the different possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is out of control, through the roof. We all know it. We all feel it. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, or buy anything for that matter. So leasing actually makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So give my friends at Apple Leasing a call, 512-346-9977, and let them see how much money they can save you. They get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings right on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977. That's 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We appreciate all the responses on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. The new theme of today on a new theme Thursday is it is Kawhi Leonard's birthday. Patrick is, of course, a Spurs fan, and it's not a tribute to Kawhi Leonard. It is
just an honest opinion. Honest reporting on Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, I was going to say it's kind of a backhanded tribute. But basically, you're pointing out what a backstabber and what a duplicitous human being he is.
Yes.
Deceitful in all those different ways. So we've had, I heard it through the grapevine, backstabbers.
The first cut is the deepest.
The first cut was the deepest.
And this is You're So Vain.
Songs that he wished he could play. If he could make kind of a an homage, if you will, kind of like a playlist for Kawhi. This would be the playlist he would play for Kawhi to let him know how he would be feeling as a Spurs fan. That's kind of the new theme of the day, but it's Kawhi's birthday out there. So we're going to talk some NBA here because we got some NBA news that is breaking. Thanks for all your thoughts on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. Great point on the Specs text line. Several people pointing us out, and I appreciate it. Someone says Gronk did the same, too. Gronk also, as a tight end, was able, obviously connection to Brady, and winning championships, able to kind of get that earning power on the back end of that, and he's still getting paid. You're right, Gronk's in like reality TV shows. I'm sure he's got some cameos in some movies or something like that. That's a really good point. And Gronk was a beast. Gronk's in that conversation, too. To be like an all-time great tight end. So I appreciate that on the Specs text line. And also, text to point out, this is what Belichick tried to do with Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. He saved money by trying to get two high-quality tight ends to be kind of the featured players on their offense and filling in the rest of the receivers with just average guys. Great point by the texter there. Appreciate that. So keep the text coming on the Specs text line. We'll get back to our initial conversation, start off the show, actually, that we kind of just steered away from, but it was about the social contracts that we have in society. I got to go back to some of that stuff, too, because got to make sure that PSA is out there for the public that we start the show with. Anyway, getting back to the NBA topics, there's breaking news in the NBA. We do know the NBA free agency season is upon us, so you get lots of movement, lots of trades happening, and another trade is expected, especially after this news. Agent Wojnarowski is reporting that 76ers guard James Harden is picking up his $35.6 million option, and sides are beginning to work together in exploring trade scenarios. This is being reported by Woj and ESPN. It's expected that Harden has played his last game for Philadelphia. Woj also mentions the Clippers and the Knicks as teams expected to be among the teams that will engage with the Sixers on potential James Harden's trade. They didn't mention the Rockets there, and we were going to talk about this later on, but since it is breaking news, I guess we should get to it now. It was reported by The Athletic that the Rockets are no longer interested in James Harden. Now, like I said, that could change depending on this situation, but it was reported by The Athletic, and their Rockets be reported that they were no longer interested in James Harden at this point.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best decision they could have made. If you were going to go one direction and try and put in a couple more veteran people and compete a little bit sooner and be ready to go, that's one way to do it. It seems that they're not going to try and do that. So adding James Harden as the only veteran in a room full of young people may not be the best way to go.
Yeah, especially if you don't want him to be the influence in that locker room.
And we know, as much as he enjoys Houston, there's a power that Daryl Morey holds over James Harden.
They did some dirt together. I don't know what dirt they have on each other, but they are.
Because everyone's basically like, for James Harden opting in and asking for a trade, it feels like Morey basically told him, well, if you opt out, we're not going to re-sign you and trade you. We won't do a sign and trade. So if you want to get out and actually make at least this much money, most teams don't have the money to sign you in free agency. So you'd have to take a pay cut in free agency if you want to go to a team that's going to win. I don't know, but it seems crazy that he's doing this. He's opting in so he can go somewhere else. Someone else gets his bird rights, and hopefully he gets a longer-term deal and makes more money.
This was unexpected, like for the sign and trade part of it.
Yeah, because you expected him to try and go out and get a longer-term deal because he's at that age where it is diminishing returns every year now. So if you see it, at what point do you say, well, now he's not even worth 20 anymore? Like, it depends. Is he going to be showing up at practice and being that veteran guy, or is he going to try and just hang out and play some basketball, in which case he's not worth that same amount of money.
To piggyback on your point, Woj reported earlier, I saw the clip myself of him saying actually with Harden and his camp, the issue might be years, not necessarily money.
Yeah.
Because of what you just said, he might want some security because this is the end for him.
Because, again,
if
$40 million over 2 years is $80 million, but 4 years with $35 million or $30 million, you're getting 120. You're making an extra $40 million that you were never – because once this contract's – whatever contract he signs –
this is it.
This is the last big one.
Yeah,
This is the last one to make really good money, and then it'll come down to, well, do you want to do that veteran minimum and stick around? Do you want to do that really low deal? This is the last one where it's – and now if it's next year. It is now next year, or he gets traded and they try and sign an extension and work out a deal with that. I don't know in the new CBA what the rules are. I know there's issues about trading for a guy and then immediately sign to an extension to go over the cap. I don't know in the new CBA, though. The new CBA starts in 2 days. So we will – I don't know what the official rules of it are, but it's big story. The teams that want him are the ones that I don't know if it really does a ton. The Clippers, I get it. The Clippers are basically – all in, 100% in. They don't know what to do. They just like there's no options because basically the only option is blowing it up, and they don't want to do that. But they're basically sitting at a point that if they're both healthy, if our stars are healthy, we have one of the best teams. Yeah, but we have to manage knowing that they're going to play 50 games a year, and they may not be together, and so we're going to lose a lot more games, and so our seeding's not there, and so we don't have that path that Denver got this year.
Yeah, that's a lot of wishing. And hoping. That's no way to to build a roster or to construct a roster.
But they've said they're not going to guarantee Eric Gordon's money next year. So that could be a guy that maybe you try and send over to Philadelphia as part of a deal, maybe with some other young guys. You maybe put in like Bones Highland you brought in or something. Like you can try and put in some other guys on that team because they have players. They just don't all really seem to fit together.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. So we'll see what happens with James Harden, but I did not expect that it'd be part of a sign and trade at this point. So we'll see how that ends up materializing. Also, the Mavs right now, everybody's interested to see what the Mavs are going to end up doing. The Rockets also are one of those teams. Actually, the Rockets were, at least at one point, interested in James Harden. Like I said, the Athletic reports that is no longer the case for the Rockets. Ime Udoka does say, though, that he wants to sign veteran players. I saw this on an interview with Ime Udoka and the general manager for the Rockets, and he says he does want to sign veteran players, and it's been reported by the Houston Chronicle that and Mark Stein actually reported this too, that Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks are on the list for the Rockets' top priorities.
Boy,
in free
so
agency.
Go sign Dylan Brooks and let's watch this explode.
Also, Brook Lopez has been mentioned.
Brook Lopez is going to be on everybody's radar. He is a stretch five who's been a good rim protector, been part of a championship team in Milwaukee. He's basically on everybody's radar. The question is, does he want to stay in Milwaukee and give them a deal and try and blow it? Or is Milwaukee losing Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, and that team is going to have to figure some things out around Giannis and quick because Giannis is going to be a free agent before you know it. And if they don't figure it out and then they're rebuilding, he's gone too, and everything that they built is over with. So that's a big one, but everyone's going to be looking at Brook Lopez. Fred VanVleet, a lot of teams like, but if he's if you're paying him a max contract, he's not a max player.
No, and they're talking about like $30 million for this dude.
And $30 million's not.
I know.
I mean, $30 million is the 5 years ago 15. I get it, but yeah, it's a lot of money for a guy.
It's a lot of money
that has really only won at a high level with Kawhi, and he was with Kyle Lowry was also there. Like, I get it. I think he's a good player. I'm not sure that that's the guy who you want to come in and be the highest paid player with Jabari Smith and Jalen Green and all these young guys and trying to figure out the power struggle. But he's going to think he's the guy. Mm-hmm. But then there's a power struggle, and Ime has to put it – and he's done it before. But Ime is just – it seems like they're biting off more than they can chew a lot. And if they get Dylan Brooks, I'm sorry, Ime. I don't know how you're going to do it.
I know.
Because I feel like you're creating Memphis too, and not the positive, you have Ja Morant Memphis. The Memphis minus Ja Morant, which is, yeah, you guys are good, but you're never going to win anything.
Yeah, that's $60 million, and cap space is burning a hole in their pocket if they just go after Dylan. If they're prioritizing Dylan Brooks, I'm like, if you end up with him, then great. Why are you prioritizing
Don't
him?
prioritize him.
Prioritize Dylan Brooks.
Another name, though, that is now in the free agency market that some of these teams may be looking at for a center. They need a center. Mo Bamba was released by the Lakers today trying to clear up cap room to try and make some moves. So they have released him. He is now in the free agency market.
That's interesting.
That is one that that Houston may look at as another guy to play inside if they want to bring him in. That Spurs may look at if they want to bring in another center and they don't find a guy they like. Dallas.
Texas 3-step. You just hit all of them.
I'm saying all these teams could be looking for a center. I mean, and a lot of other teams are going to look for a center as well.
Yeah.
We're just saying if Mo Bamba wants to come to Texas, and there's going to be some teams looking, and I think Dallas will be a very interesting one of a stretch 5 that if they think they can reclaim him and get him in that position while they're getting Lively up to speed and kind of give him a 2 or 3 year deal to reclaim himself, I think he's closer to a Christian Wood, what you wanted. I think he's closer to you be able to get him to play some defense because we know he can block shots. He's not just straight up Christian Wood, I don't play no defense. I think he would be willing to be that guy. So that's one for Dallas. I would really look at him and see if they're interested.
I'm glad you brought that up. JJ Redick was actually talking about the Mavs and what they need to do to build around Luka. Since obviously post-draft and obviously before free agency starts up. Here is JJ Redick talking about what he thinks the Mavs need.
Because if you surround those two with a bunch of shooting, the floor is spread. You're going to have to double Luka at times. That leaves the rim open. That leaves threes open. I want to start there.
Is that Mo Bamba?
That's Mo Bamba on a good day.
That's his best version of Mo Bamba.
The best version of Mo Bamba is a big center who can block shots and shoot threes.
Okay.
And the problem is he hasn't been able to stay on the court. The problem is he hasn't progressed in that way. If you feel you can do that, then he is a guy you should definitely look at him. You should no matter of a doubt look at him and decide, well, where's the market and everything else. Mo Bamba may also say, you know what, I'd like to go up to New York and go home, and I'll go be a Knick or a Brooklyn Net.
I'll take the pay cut just to go
back home because he's from New York.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility too. He may want to go back East Coast, go up north.
Texas is like home.
I'm saying that's a question. So he may. I'm just saying if you're Dallas and you're looking for a center, that's a guy who is a stretch 5 that needs work. But if you feel you can play or develop and you feel you can do that,
they do.
That's someone that I would be very interested in because he is a stretch 5.
Another guy that was actually they didn't pick up his deal, Taurean Prince. He's been getting a lot of buzz in Dallas. Some people think he's gonna sign with the Mavs.
Taurean Prince, who found out that his option was not picked up by the Woj bomb.
Yes, that guy. I know. Yeah, he tweeted out, "Thanks, Woj." When Woj broke
Thanks for the heads up.
He's like, "Oh, thanks, Woj. I didn't know that." Yeah. So basically, the Timberwolves deciding not to pick up his deal, which is relatively cheap, $7.4 million.
But they're also dancing around that apron. The luxury tax apron after that trade for Rudy Gobert. You have Anthony Edwards on that team. Karl Anthony Towns making a lot of money.
Yeah.
They were dancing around it anyway, so you just kind of got to let some pieces go if they're not part of your future.
Yeah, got to play some defense, can defend, and maybe hit an open shot. Maybe that's a cheap option for the Mavs, too. I heard that name going around the Mavs fan circles. All right, we come back. We'll get into a little off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city. We all know it. Thanks in no small part to our good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career path, maybe you're frustrated with your work choices, you want something new, something fresh, something that will challenge you, you can become a valued member of this prestigious organization, Ironworkers Local Union 482, and you can accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. That's a really long time. And you see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic, exquisite landmarks that you may be driving by right now and not even know it, like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And right now they're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. And you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to another edition of Off the Record right here on Ball Don't Lie. Obviously, we're a little up against it, so we don't have a ton of time for Off the Record. I was going to get into a story about Georgia, but we got to save that for another time. What I'll get into now, just really quickly, the soap opera, the saga between Mariah Mills and Zion Williamson. Remember the young lady who claimed that they had, obviously, relations and that they were really close, and that he, after it was announced that he was having a child with another woman on social media, she went to social media and claimed all this stuff, that she had video of them together, that she was going to release it, and she made all these allegations about different things they had done together. Not going to go into detail, but she was so bold in her claims, and she was so brazen that I believe her Twitter account was suspended because she was threatening revenge porn, which is when you basically take intimate videos you've had with a partner and then threaten to make them public.
Yeah, where there's a lot of laws against that.
There's laws in every state against it. So she was threatening revenge porn. So I believe her Twitter account was suspended, but she still has her Instagram account. She posted just a video of a positive pregnancy test on her Instagram. Yeah. And nobody knows what she is trying to say about this.
I mean, we all know what she's trying to say.
I know what she's trying to say. Yeah. And she posted a poll to her Instagram story asking viewers to choose between names, Junior and Zariah.
Which is a combination.
Zion and Mariah,
Yes.
which is her name. She is a former adult star. Well, I don't know if she's former. I'm assuming. I've never seen her work, so there you go. Yeah.
You know, it's nice that Zion can keep busy with, considering the fact that he doesn't play basketball anymore.
He's very busy. Yeah, this thing continues to go. She's going to score stories. She's a woman scorned. A woman scorned. Every man knows about this. Woman too, but you don't want to know.
I think she's also found that this is the most famous and most anybody's ever wanted to talk to her, and she is going to milk it for all it's worth.
I hope he did not impregnate this woman. Oh.
For his sake, I do too.
Oh,
For the popcorn watching,
she posted a sonogram.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I know. I'm not saying this. She's so crazy. She would go get somebody else's sonogram.
Well, no,
and post to her page.
it doesn't mean that it's his.
Doesn't mean that it's his.
Come on, someone
But
get
she
more.
is implying that.
What's the dance Zion's gonna do when he is not the father?
She is implying that it's his, and she has receipts that he did not use protection. That is pretty clear.
It still doesn't mean.
Still doesn't mean it's his. I'm not saying it's his, but it doesn't say it ain't.
No, I know, but what's the dance he does, and does he injure himself dancing when Maury Povich says he's not the father?
Remember, Maury Povich has at home DNA test now.
Get some Zion. Maury Povich at home DNA test with a smiling Zion face.
Come on, Zion, you gotta do better than that, man. You chose poorly. I mean,
you made a lot of bad decisions.
She's the worst, though. She's the worst. Come on. Like, really? If he got her pregnant, I said she's going to be a disaster and a nightmare for the rest of your life. This woman does not have a bone of civility in her body. I mean, the way that she is conducted. Because if he is, in fact, the father, there are ways to go about this where you can get all the support and compensation that you deserve and need. She's not going about it that way. And I'm like, you going about it the way that your future child will be able to see this stuff one day. How you handle this. Oh, anyway. All right, there you go. That's the update on Off the Record. We come back. We'll get into the big news from Texas baseball. Coach David Pierce making another move at pitching coach. Also, we'll talk about the indispensable pieces for the Texas football team, the trap game from Athlon Sports for Texas football this season, and their newest O-line commitment. Lot to cover behind the burnt orange curtain right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. That's when Patrick plays jams, certain songs that are supposed to provide us with clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day. And since it's Kawhi Leonard's birthday, and Patrick is a Spurs fan, it is dedicated to the backstabbing, duplicitous, deceptive ways of one Kawhi Leonard. Basically, if he could make a playlist to let Kawhi Leonard know how he feels, you were listening to it right now on New Theme Thursday.
Yeah, it's a little
and who is
playlist
this?
for Kawhi.
Who is this?
This is the
And
Allman Brothers.
Okay. And what's the name of the jam?
Whipping Post.
Whipping Post. We've had Backstabbers. We've had I Heard It Through the Grapevine, the Marvin Gaye version, not the Temptations version I thought it was. We've had Cuts. What is it?
The first cut is the deepest.
First cut is the deepest. That was another one too.
And then You're So Vain.
Oh,
Carly
You're So
Simon.
Vain. That was a good one too. That perfectly applies to my man Kawhi. Hey, Kawhi's happy though. Kawhi's happy. Honestly, now this is that beautiful situation where you had to break up that was really ugly, and obviously there had to be some pain and there had to be some grief involved
some
with
bad
that
years.
on somebody. Yeah, exactly. And I think the Spurs dealt with that. But now you're at that point to break up where y'all saw each other like out somewhere and y'all were both doing good. You know what I mean? Like, y'all both doing.
I don't think he's doing good.
Well, he's okay.
And let's put it for the record.
No. See, that's the thing about it. I disagree. I think he's happy. I think he's happy with it.
You think he's happy
that's
never
the
winning another championship ever?
Yep, that's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem, Patrick. Yes. Okay. Yes, I do. I think he's perfectly happy being comfortable there on the West Coast, close to where he wants to be. And you know what? I'm good. I'm getting paid what I want to get paid. I won my title. I've already proven that if I really want to be the best player on the planet, y'all know it's in me. And for him, that's good enough.
It's just crazy.
For him, that's good enough.
It's so crazy to me when because I know how much work he puts in or has put in to the game and how far he came and all that, and you just watch it and then you're like, it seems as if he wants to basically he doesn't want to play regular season at all.
No,
he'd like to show up probably second round and then be the number one option on the best team in the game and go win a championship and be like, oh, that was fun. And then I'm going back to San Diego for the next 9 months.
Exactly.
That seems like what he wants, which is crazy because he's making $40 million a year to basically do that.
I think he's perfectly fine with what's going on now. You don't hear about him complaining. You don't hear about him, out there. And
he's never heard about him complaining.
He's not a public persona. But even he's not acting out. He acted out.
Well, no. So, like the story that I was hearing the other day,
he at least acted out. He's not acting out.
They were talking about how it was both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard had been out with injuries, and they would just come back, and people were like, okay, I guess we're finally going to see them together, and they're finally going to be playing. And then it was like a noon game in L.A. And they saw him coming over, and they were just talking in the side of the gym. And the next day, they were both cleared out for the game. And you were like, they just went over and were like, yeah, noon game, too early in L.A.
That's not
stupid.
us.
We're out. And you're like, that's insane.
We're too good to play in noon games.
And it's just insane that you see that, and you're like, yeah, if I'm the Clippers, I am as soon as possible trying to trade Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and just figure something out because if I'm willing to spend that much money,
the fear it's like the people who rather stay in an unhappy relationship rather than have the fear of being single again.
I
like
get it.
That's the Clippers. They're like the fear of starting over to them is way more frightful and dreadful than the fear of the reality, which is y'all are never gonna win a title, but you're gonna be basically paying these two superstars like you're contending for a title, but you will never win.
And what Kawhi and Paul George also know is they're opening that new building.
Yeah.
And you can't open a new building with rookies. Like you can't be rebuilding and trying to sell suites and trying to sell
That's true.
ticket packages
Well,
and all that.
especially in LA.
You have to be able, in LA competing, and you're already the little brother.
In LA, you can't do that.
It's just crazy because he's so good. It's like I love watching him play basketball. I want him to play more. It's crazy that no one can get through to him. I
don't think he's getting through. I think he's happy.
No, it is.
I think people want him to be more than he is. It's like when y'all wanted Ricky Williams to love football. Ricky's like, I don't love football that much. No, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm doing what I want to do. I do think
Ricky didn't get a max contract.
I know, but the max contract is not. That's different. He earned that already. In his mind, he earned that. Earned that when I was the best player in the world.
He's got an extension coming up.
And you know what? If y'all want to let me go, let me go. And you know what? Somebody else will pay me that money. Y'all not the only ones that gonna pay me that money. He's happy. I like the texter right here says, damn, Pat, just be happy for the guy. Be happy for him. He's fine.
Wait, first of all, I don't have to be happy for him. He's annoying enough that he was really fun to watch. I don't have to be happy for him.
It's like the person you were with in a relationship, you wanted more for them than they wanted for themselves. Remember that?
Yeah.
We all have been in a relationship like, why do I have more ambition for you than you have for yourself? I believe more in you than you believe in yourself. That's Kawhi. Kawhi's like, leave me alone. All right, I'm fine. I won my title. I'm good. I'm being West Coast out. He'll never win another title again. Never. Unless he's like some other secondary piece. But if you want to build around him, it's like KD. I'm sorry. KD ain't winning a title because KD don't want to be a leader.
Yeah.
KD has already said, listen, I want to win a title, but I don't want to. There's a lot of heavy is the head that wears the crown, and he does not like that crown, the burden of it.
By the way,
so KD probably won't win another title either unless he's going to be a secondary piece, which he can be with Phoenix because Devin Booker will be the leader. Devin Booker will be the leader. He'll be the guy.
Now they got Bradley Beal. And God, you know what? I love those rumors about Kyrie Irving. And for Mavs fans, I don't want you to lose Kyrie, like just lose a player with getting nothing back when you leverage so much to get him. Like that would suck for Mavs fans. But just as somebody watching a team that cannot exist because there's only one basketball and 4 people that need it in their hands, it's crazy to think if Kyrie went to that Phoenix team with how it's built right now.
Yeah, no, that would be if he wanted to basically give him a cheat code, he could, but he had to take a huge
But
pay
it's
cut.
not a cheat code because they're not playing. No one's playing defense.
Well,
and then you just have a pissed off DeAndre Ayton in the middle.
Just outscoring everybody, which honestly the NBA be perfectly fine with. That's the
it's
NBA
a run
nutshell.
TMC offense that never did anything.
Yeah, right.
They put up 160 a game.
Someone says Booker is not a leader. I know, but he's more of a leader than KD because KD doesn't want to be a leader.
Yeah.
KD literally does not want that role. He does not want it. That's what I'm saying. That's my problem with KD as in the conversation to be one of the premier elite players in his sport is that he didn't want to be a leader, and I think they go hand in hand. Like if you want to be the man and the best player on the team, you have to be a leader too. You cannot avoid that, and I don't know if KD necessarily wants it because to be that, you have to make things uncomfortable. You got to be confrontational. You got to be the bad guy. And KD's now kind of conflicted on some of that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's get back to it. We'll get to NBA a little bit later on. Let's get to Texas football and Texas baseball here. So according to Kendall Rogers of D1Baseball.com, the Texas Longhorns baseball program has decided, and this is obviously Coach David Pierce, decided to part ways with Woody Williams, their pitching coach, after just one season. Remember, he was with San Jacinto College as the assistant there and replaced Sean Allen, who left Texas after the 2022 season. Remember, he spent 5 years on Coach Pierce's staff. Kendall Rogers, First One Reported, also points out the Horns were ranked 10th nationally in terms of ERA at a 4.18 clip this season. Also points out that this is going to be Coach Pierce looking for his 4th pitching coach as a head coach. He's been here 7 years looking for his 4th pitching coach and his 3rd pitching coach in as many years. So when he first began, he had Phil Haig as his pitching coach. After the 27 campaign in 2019, Allen moved into that role. Allen left after 2022 and went to Ohio State. And then, of course, Woody Williams just tabbed as the replacement for him last offseason. And now they're moving on from Woody Williams. So I'm sure there are different reasons for it. Maybe there's disagreement on philosophy. Maybe Coach Pierce felt like they weren't going to be able to keep up with the Joneses in terms of their pitching staff. I'm sure there'll be some more details about it coming out, and I'll do some more research behind the scenes as well. My man Harge isn't here, but Harge did put out a tweet earlier today that I liked. Go check it out, Hardball Harge. He says, after, quote, tweeting the Kendall Rogers report from earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if Troy Tulowitzki is back with the Horns in some capacity. The players and fans loved him, still a free agent. So I don't know if he's reporting, just giving his thoughts on things, but that could be an option as well. I'll just say this about Texas baseball and the state of, we talked about this too earlier in the show. I actually posed this question to Texas football fans. We were talking about Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC and the Oklahoma football program and how prestigious it has been. I mean, that's the it's a better football program than Texas. It's one of the top 5 best football programs in the country, all history actually, in that kind of conversation. And I posed the question like, the reason that I would probably bet on Oklahoma dropping off, not that I think Brent Venables is a bad coach or that Oklahoma won't be able to compete. I just think that the odds, the chances of them hiring 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row, just really low, right? Like, send me a prestigious organization or program, college or pro, that was able to hire 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row who were considered top 5 to top 10 coaches in their profession within their first 2 to 3 years. Oklahoma did that. Bob Stoops won a national title in his second year. Hell, by the time Lincoln Riley got to his second, third year at Oklahoma, everybody's like, yeah, he's the best offensive mind in the game, and he's a top 5 coach, period. Got Heisman finalists and number 1 overall picks. And then they hired Brent Venables. And am I saying Brent Venables is going to be trash? No, of course not. I'm not saying that at all. I got too much respect for Oklahoma to say that. But like I said, only the Pittsburgh Steelers have done it. With Noel to Cowher to Tomlin. Give me another organization that hires 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row. It's really tough. Like I said, I only know one, the Steelers. That's it. I'm sure there are some other ones out there. I'm sure there are. But it's tough. Remember when Eddie Reese tried to retire for a little while? In Texas swimming and diving, and he ended up coming right back? Yeah. It's tough. Because one of the toughest things in sports is to follow a legend. You never want to follow a legend. You want to follow the guy or woman that follows a legend. Let them deal with all the burden and the weight of that expectation. You don't want to follow a legend. It's tough. Ask Coach Pierce, it's tough. I mean, Augie coming in, CB said he's known as the GOAT. You can have the GOAT conversation about him talking about the greatest of all time. College baseball coach. Then you got Gus before him. Hall of Fame, one of the greatest to ever do it. And then there's Coach Pierce. It's, like I said, I ain't saying I like Coach Pierce. I think Coach Pierce has done a damn good job. But like the same thing I say about Texas football, I have to be fair here. Because I have very high standards, as you guys know, for Texas football. You guys know that. And Texas baseball has higher standards than Texas football. Actually, if you look on the 40 acres of what they have accomplished and the accolades and things they have achieved, and I always tell you guys, don't let your expectations affect the standard of Texas football. Don't do it. The standard is the standard. The late, great DKR set the standard. The standard is the standard. All right? Don't let your love for Sark affect the standard. Your expectations are one thing. The standard is another. Same thing for Coach Pierce in Texas baseball. The standard, unfortunately, for Coach Pierce is a championship. And until he achieves that, Texas baseball fans they're gonna be anxious. That's the reality of it. And until he does that, it's like I said, that would put them on the same pedestal maybe with the Steelers, who can hire 3 Hall of Fame worthy coaches in a row. And the point in bringing it up is not saying Texas can't do it and Coach Pierce won't be that guy. He could. But my point is to give you perspective. You guys know I follow trends and patterns. What are the odds? You're a blue blood college baseball program. Tough to hire 3 Hall of Famers in a row. And if he's not a Hall of Famer, is he good enough? He's good. Of course he is. Is he good enough? I mean, that would be the tough thing if he's that kind of. Because I'm not, like I said, I am actually a Coach Pierce fan, but I'm also not I'm not a Texas baseball fan through and through. I'm a Texas sports fan. But for Texas baseball fans, they have really high standards.
Live and die with Texas baseball.
Well, yeah, like I'm not. I love Texas sports, but I played football, so that's my sport. But I do know the standard is really high, and right now there are a lot of Texas baseball fans that don't necessarily believe that Texas baseball is meeting that standard. Is that an unfair standard? Of course it is. Mack Brown became a prisoner of his own excellence when he first got to Texas. All right, it wasn't his fault that Bob Stoops won a national title in his second year. But, hey, it ain't your fault, but it is your responsibility. That's what you get paid to do. You got to beat Oklahoma. And for years, Mack Brown won double-digit games on the 40 acres. 11 games some years. I was on those teams, and you guys saw it as a disappointment. And so did we. Why? Because we had championship caliber talent. We had all the pieces. We underachieved. Because the standard is the standard.
Yeah, I mean, and you can even look at if Mac wins that title in the Colt year, how different things are because he wins a championship. But history doesn't give it to the second place team, and so that getting to hold over of winning a championship doesn't stay. So even if you're Texan, go David Pierce wins the College World Series next year, he buys him like 4 more years.
Oh no,
and then the standard is the standard. And so you just have to understand. You go, I get it. I'm saying even if he reaches those unrealistic expectations and then goes back to what he's doing right now, it will still be a problem. It's the standard. It's the standard.
And it's like I said, I'm not saying it's fair at all because he's doing a good job. But for Texas baseball fans, they have a very different standard. When Texas says, I think the Cowboys did it with Landry, Johnson, and Parcells. They didn't. They didn't do it with Landry. I don't think they did it with them, did they? Hold on, let's go look at it. Landry, you had Landry, you had Jimmy Johnson, and Switzer. I guess you would consider Switzer not a Pro Football Hall of Famer, but I guess he'd be a College Football Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't count that.
You don't count that?
No. I get he won Super Bowls, but I'm getting.
Okay.
I think that's the thing. He won Super Bowls, so you're giving.
He did
him,
win a Super Bowl.
So you're saying in that sense that you've got Super Bowl winners, but
yeah, we don't know.
I feel that's revisionist history.
We watched that Switzer team. I could have coached that Switzer coach team.
Troy Aikman did.
That was Jimmy Johnson, but you're right. That's good. So I don't know. Maybe that's.
I get what you're saying. I feel like that's a bit of revisionist history.
It is, but it's a good point though. My point is, it doesn't happen a lot. Like it's just really tough to do. And I hope Texas is embarking on, being one of those outliers. That Coach Pierce can be that guy. But unfortunately, that is the standard right now for Texas baseball. That's the standard. They want Texas baseball. I've talked to him. I know him. Shout out to my man George. I know him. And they are, like I said, for Texas football fans I thought were stubborn. I was wrong. I don't want to meet Texas swimming and diving fans because they must have a standard with Coach Eddie Reese that is unbelievable. Like it's just unfathomable. Because Texas baseball fans, their standard is higher than Texas football fans, and it should be.
Yeah,
it should be. I mean, look what they've accomplished. So I don't know if there's, other than Texas swimming and diving, I don't know if there's a program on the 40 acres with a higher standard. And like I said, I am very bullish about Texas football meeting the standard. And not changing that standard, not dropping and lowering it. So I think for Coach Pierce, unfortunately for him, he's got to deal with it. And as my man Chan said, it is very stressful. They are paid handsomely to deal with a very stressful job. So, and I was told, shout out to the BMDs, Big Money Booster Donors, who I talked to. Remember the Austin Business Journal? Austin Business Journal did a great job writing an article about NIL compensation on the 40 acres. I did talk to somebody. Remember that article said they were 10th in NIL compensation with the limited information that they were able to piece together. They did a really good job. I had a booster tell me that was somewhat misinformed because all the NIL deals are not made public, and they don't want them made public. They believe that will cause tension, amongst players, which they're right. They'll call. There'll be some guys, maybe they're jealous of another guy, and then why is that guy making as much as me or more than me? That kind of thing. So there's some. There are some efforts to avoid that. So everything is not made public. And the new law, which kicks in July 1st, has even more, I believe, like privacy statutes about NIL in it. So there'll be even less information that we'll have. So they did tell me that fundraising-wise, Texas baseball is in the top 5. Fundraising-wise among the sports at Texas. I don't know if that's the same as compensation, but just giving you what I was told. I'm just giving you the information that I got. I had somebody hit me up like, hey, man, just so you know. Just so you're well informed. There you go. So I want to share that with you guys. But Texas baseball, going through a lot of changes. I think, like I said, that question about the 3 Hall of Fame coaches in a row. Give me one other program or organization other than the Steelers. And then, Longhorn fans, think about that. Because the Steelers have had 3 coaches in what are we talking about? 50, 60 years? And essentially, that's what Texas baseball is trying to do. When did they hire Coach Gus? What year was that? That's a long time. Texas baseball would be in that kind of conversation too. But the Steelers got them, Super Bowls with all those guys. And the question would be, can Texas baseball get championships with all of those great coaches? All right, here we go. They hired Coach Gus. Ooh, good Lord. So I was thinking when they hired Coach Gus. I'll get it to you in a second. But to me, like I said, that's how I kind of broke it down in my head. Coach Gus was hired in 1968. Yeah. They are kind of like the Steelers then.
Yeah.
It really is kind of like the Steelers. It's 68 to 96. Augie was 97 to 2016. So Texas baseball don't like to hire coaches anyway. They make sure they make the right hire, and then that's it. That's definitely was the case for Augie and for Coach Gus.
I think the flip of this, too, which is takes much more research, but how many times do you have two and the third was good but not great, and you get rid of them and it just spirals downhill from there? Because I think that is something you also have to keep in mind of, do you just want to say, well, we got to go find the next guy, and then it just diminishing returns and it gets worse and worse. You have to be careful. Do not, because we know with Texas, you get rid of Mac Brown, and then you try and reset the program with Charlie Strong, but that wasn't the right hire. Nope. And then you bring in Tom Herman, and he's a step in the right direction, but it's not getting to the standard. And so now you have to move on to Sark. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing now this is Sark's prove-it year. But it can go where you think, oh, well, we need it. We need the right guy, and you think that you don't have the right guy, and it doesn't. You messed up one hire, even if it's not really messed up. You didn't get it right the first time. How do you know you're going to get it right the next time? It's not a proven thing.
I agree with you. Exactly. Yeah. You're preaching about the standard right now and being a prisoner of your own excellence, which happens at programs like Texas baseball. Mac Brown dealt with that too. But then, we all thought, oh man, Mac is struggling. We got to upgrade. Look how long it took. We still ain't upgraded.
No.
You still haven't necessarily got the upgrade. You three coaches later, and you have not upgraded. And Mac's still out there coaching. So that's a great. You got to consider that.
Yeah.
If you're the decision maker. Someone brings up Ohio State. Ohio State has done a really good job hiring coaches, but they had Jim Tressel, but then there was Luke Fickell in between Urban Meyer and Ryan Day. And Luke Fickell's a damn good coach, by the way. I like Luke Fickell. So they had that. So Tressel to Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. I think Luke Fickell was like that 1 year. It wasn't an interim, but I think it was just like he was an interim plus one extra year kind of thing. And they moved on. And by the way, Luke Fickell turned out he's a damn good coach. But all those other guys, I believe, championship caliber coaches, won championships at least for Ohio State. So Ohio State can be in that category too, but it's rare, man. It's rare. And I'm hoping Texas is one of those schools when it comes to Texas baseball that they can do that. Because right now, Texas baseball fans, they are, and I think Coach Pierce's moves are reflecting kind of the anxiety of the fan base. And I also think there's the SEC lurking in the future. And then there's LSU. They just had the death row Suge Knight call to arms from Jay Johnson, the LSU manager, saying, if you are one of the best, all right, college baseball players on the planet, and you want to get paid straight cash, homie, for your skill set, and you want to play for championships, and you want to get drafted really high, come to death row. I mean, LSU. And they coming. They coming. Especially after Skeens and all the crew. Cruz isn't part. He wasn't a transfer, that kind of thing. But they did have three starters that they got via the transfer portal. I think Tommy Tanks was in there too. So LSU saying, hey man, and you got to come deal with that. And by the way, I believe SEC baseball trumps Big 12 baseball, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, right now, yes.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, we can put that TCU was the only team that hosted a super regional out of the Big 12. And that was only because the team that they were supposed to be playing had to give up their hosting because they had the Special Olympics in town. So they would not, and SEC had like 3 or 4.
Okay.
So we'd say just on that metric of super regionals hosting, that SEC had a bunch, Texas had none.
Yeah.
That would tell you who's a better conference right now.
So like Sark's job, your job is about to get tougher.
Much. And those teams that you're not necessarily recruiting against heavily, that are getting everybody in the transport and everybody, your name's about to be mentioned in their speech.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can go there.
Yes.
You can. I mean, I wouldn't.
They're about to take it personal.
Can.
They're going to take it personal now. At first, it was like, oh, no, you're right. So I think that's also, I don't know how big of a factor. That is also out there that, Texas needs to up their level of play in every sport.
Mm-hmm.
But especially, the big three. And this is the same pressure is on Sark, by the way, too. This is a no excuses tour for Sark. Listen, everybody's basically saying if Sark doesn't have double-digit wins this year, that they're going to start doubting.
If you're not playing for a Big 12 championship
if he's not playing for a Big 12 title, double-digit wins, that they're going to doubt him.
If you can't compete in the Big 12 and we're going to the SEC,
guys, That's what I'm saying. You giving him 2 losses, and that's it. If he gets more than 2 losses, then most of us out here will start having the conversation about, so who's going to be the next coach at Texas?
Yeah.
Like, you got to start having that conversation. That's Texas. Yeah, someone says SEC has won 3 straight College World Series. Yeah. So, and I had people on the Spec Text on bringing up the Wake Forest pitching lab apparently is on the cutting edge of like doing a lot of very revolutionary concepts in pitching, and that, you know, hey, there are a lot of teams trying to just keep up their pitching. And Texas pitching wasn't terrible.
But Texas also, I believe, just spent a bunch of money in renovating facilities and building new facilities for baseball as well. So they're trying to compete on that end.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that shouldn't be an issue for Texas. They're rich. So resources and facilities, Texas should never have to worry about. What Texas always had to worry about, and talent's not an issue either. Texas can always get the best talent. Texas' biggest issue has always been coaching. Damn near every sport.
But I will tell
because
you,
it's not talent and it's not resources.
Texas baseball has been talented to a certain extent that recruiting for Texas baseball has not been at the top the last few years. They're getting good guys, but the SEC is getting far and above more, and the transfer portal especially too. You're getting good players, but you're not getting day one draft pick guys a lot of times. You're not getting guys that are the most sought after college players. Those are a lot, for the most part, are going to the SEC.
That's a good point. My man CB points out as well, and it's a good point though about, you know, essentially Coach Gus, he won his first title in year 8, Augie year 6, and Coach Pierce is in year 8, but technically year 7 because of the COVID thing. And he's right about that. Same thing with Mac, though, right? Mac then win his first title in 2005, got here in 98. We are just not as patient as a society anymore. Transfer portal, NIL, there are now new advantages for Texas coaches, and we're just not willing to be as patient when we're watching other programs around the country with fewer resources, able to bounce back sooner than Texas and have more success. Texas fans are not willing to wait 7, 8 years. They're just not, and that's why Texas baseball fans are a little anxious right now.
And they are, because they have.
Yeah.
But I think this was the rebuilding year, and now next year you look at it, you say, in this offseason, you want to make sure your recruiting class looks really good, that you maybe get a transfer to, and if you can get one up coming up. And then you go into next year saying, all right, as far as I can tell, next season is College World Series. We have to be there, or it's a massive failure. And then you go from there. But that's a year away. So you get plenty of time to build on it, who you bring in to hire, who you're replacing Woody Williams, if the rest of the coaching staff see what they do. But, yeah, I think that we're getting to, in baseball and football, these are defining years of going to the SEC. Are we going to be okay with being, one of the bigger dogs in the Big 12?
As long as you're making more money.
Or do we want to be and then realize how big the dogs are in the SEC? Or is it we got to step up?
This texture says, word Texas hasn't meant ish in anything other than money, volleyball, and swimming in about 15 years, and I'm a horn. Don't you forget about the Directors Cup. The Directors Cup. The Directors Cup. We won a Directors Cup.
Us and Stanford.
We didn't win this year. We won it previous years. I know. We only care about the Directors Cup when we're not winning the big sports.
We're bad lighting away from a Directors Cup.
But you know what the SEC gamble reminds me of for Texas? I was reading about this. This was like a Skylab, I believe was the name of it. It was a satellite like in the 70s that NASA actually launched in space. And when they launched it, they had the technology to get it up in space, but not the technology to get it back. And it was basically sent on data finding, data gathering, fact finding missions in space. And they basically, the gamble was, we'll send it up there for 8 years. And then by 8 years, we'll have the technology to bring it down. They were basically very confident, very arrogant about, no, we'll figure it out. They didn't. It crashed down, I think, in the Indian Ocean or something like that. So they didn't figure it out. To me, that's Texas sports right now. It's a hell of a gamble. You're gambling basically that the athletic programs have not been able to dominate the Big 12, but you know what? We'll go to the SEC, and in 5-6 years, when all of these hires, when our programs catch up and they're all performing at an elite level, that's when everything will align, the perfect storm, and Texas will be dominating the SEC, unlike they've ever dominated the Big 12. It's a gamble. Could coming to a fiery crash to an ocean near you, or who knows? Maybe they find a way to land it successfully. We don't know. But to say Texas is going to go dominate the SEC like a lot of people are saying on Twitter right now, it's a little misguided. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Cowboys. Will they use more 21 personnel this year? I'll tell you why that may be the case right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We'll get some Cowboys discussion here just really quickly. I heard this sound. This was actually David Carr. He does work for NFL Network, and he was talking about the Cowboys. And I actually didn't even know he was doing work for NFL Network, but I thought what he said about the Cowboys was really interesting, given that we know now the Texas Coast offense, a big part of it is going to be the run game. They want to run it ball more, right? They want to run it more. He doesn't want to score as many points. Remember, he said scoring points is not important to him. Winning games is important to him. That's what Mike McCarthy said. He said they're going to do that by running the ball. Why? Because you run the ball, you control the game when you can run the ball. Here is Derek Carr, and he's talking about the kind of new offseason for the Cowboys, and Mike McCarthy calling the plays and how he likes it. But there's a nice little nugget in here that I actually am going to expand upon. But here is David Carr.
All right, break this down for me from a Dallas offensive perspective. How much easier is it for Dak to have Mike McCarthy calling the plays versus getting another guy in-house that he's not necessarily familiar with?
Yeah, this is great. This is great for the Dallas Cowboys going forward. My favorite game to play, Yammer, in the offseason is to listen to quarterbacks speak in the press conferences and kind of really tell you what they're saying. And so here's what Dak is doing. They're going to be less wide open and kind of sporadic and just trying to score as many points as possible. They're going to be more intentional. And I love that because that's what we've asked for, right? It's going to be downhill running game. It's going to be Tony Pollard. See Zeke playing fullback right there. Obviously, it's going to be someone else, but there's going to be a fullback in the game. He talked a little bit about some of the guys that maybe not get a lot of attention. Maybe they didn't get a lot of plays last year. They're going to play pivotal roles. That tells me that they're going to do more play action pass. They're going to not gimmick guys up, but they're going to utilize that run game. They're going to come off of it with the play action pass and try to hit shots down the field. I don't think you have to be as explosive, but you can be better. You can be better in these types of plays. You can hit bigger chunk plays. In this league, it's so hard to go 10, 12, 14 plays in a drive. But if you can hit a couple runs, hit a big pass play like this, drives over, you got points on the board. I love the way that they're going. I love the way this offense is going. I think it's going to be more physical to match the defense. The defense has gotten there already. They're already there. They're ready to play at the next level with San Francisco with some of these teams. Now the offense has to catch up.
All right, now he kind of threw out there the Cowboys maybe using a fullback was maybe getting down and dirty in the running game. The only fullback I can think about them being excited about is actually one that Jerry Jones brought up, and he's an undrafted rookie, Hunter Luepke. Hunter Luepke is from North Dakota State, and they picked him up as a undrafted free agent. He basically can do a lot of different things for you. During his 4 years with the Bisons, he played 839 snaps, 66 snaps on special teams, so he can do special teams too. But as a runner, Luepke finished with 6.3 yards per carry, over 1,600 yards rushing, 24 rushing touchdowns. As a receiver, he had 28 receptions for 494 yards, 9 touchdowns, and when targeted, he had a 120.7 passer rating when targeted. So he was pretty damn good. And as a blocker, he didn't allow one single sack and only 2 pressures as a blocker his entire career. So he can block, something Patrick's been worried about with those Cowboys running backs. Luepke can block. He also can run short yardage, which is something we're worried about losing when Zeke's not available, right? Because without Zeke was great at short yardage, also great in pass pro, and Luepke actually excels at both of those things, short yardage and pass pro. So a lot of people believe the Cowboys may decide to, instead of keeping 4 tight ends, which they usually do, they may keep 3 tight ends, right? They got Schoonmaker they just drafted. They got Jake Ferguson they like a lot. They got Peyton Hendershot. They may decide to keep 3 and keep a fullback instead. A guy who can play H-back for you, play fullback, maybe even play a little tight end, depending on how you want to situate him. Keep an eye out for Hunter Luepke making this team because what David Carr said just kind of got my ears perked up. They want to run the ball more. They don't have a fullback. And I know that Mike McCarthy actually likes using fullbacks. He has used fullback and even talked about using fullbacks. Here's a quote from Mike McCarthy about fullback usage. If you're playing fullback, playing 21, teams won't have practiced against it. And teams really don't see it much. And he's, basically, it's one thing, but we know that Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers probably uses more 21 personnel than anybody else. So I do wonder if, with Mike McCarthy, maybe there's a fullback out there in your future, Cowboys.
I think, too, it's one of the things you look at of a cheat code that especially Philly did, but other teams are doing is if you find a way to, at least in your odds in your favor pick up 1 yard, a yard and a half, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you are able to now play 3-4 downs a lot more times and go for those short, picking up that 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 that Philadelphia made a cheat code with Jalen Hurts and getting through that push.
Yeah.
And if you're running Tony Pollard and
The
Deuce
tush push,
Vaughn,
yeah.
I don't know if you have that. I don't think you have anything of we feel confident of
Power. No power
we're able to
element
get
to your
through
running
there.
game.
However, if you then say, well, we have Tony Pollard and a fullback pushing him from behind, or we have Dak Prescott and a fullback pushing him from behind, or we just give the ball to the fullback and we think he can get through. Those types of things give you a little bit more hope on those short yardage possessions that are just huge and giving your defense a little bit more rest. Even if you're not scoring, giving your defense 3 or 4 more plays to get a little wind back in them before you stick them back on the field. It's big with what this Dallas team is trying to do with the defense leading the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think from Dallas, you could end up seeing more power sets overall if they want to run the ball. That includes, obviously, sometimes with a fullback, but even with multiple tight ends. They drafted a tight end in the 2nd round, and remember last year they had some multiple tight end sets. Kansas City played more 13 personnel last year, 1 back, 3 tight ends than any team in the league. And, there is a belief that, when you get heavy, when you go heavy personnel packages, that it makes it tougher to throw the ball. And all the stats actually say that it's easier to throw the ball out of heavier personnel packages, or at least there's more success out of heavier personnel packages than basically out of your spread personnel packages, because teams' defenses are geared and they are engineered to stop the run when offenses go heavy personnel. I'll give you one stat while we end this rant here, and then we'll move on. 21 personnel. You look at yards per route run, by the way. Yards per route run is basically the new stat to judge how efficient a passing game is. I believe this past season, Tyreek Hill led the NFL in yards per route run, and he was around, I think, 3. He was the only one over 3 yards per route run. Everybody else was below 3 yards per route run. So he was the most efficient receiver in the league, arguably. When I went and looked at yards per route run out of 21 personnel, that means 2 backs, 1 tight ends, 1.99 yards per route run out of 21 personnel. Out of all the personnel packages that I could break down, that was 3rd highest. The only 2 that were higher were 6 O-line packages, where teams averaged in the NFL 2.98 and 2.90 yards per route run. Your biggest chunk yardage plays in the passing game usually come off of psyching a defense out and making them believe you're about to run the ball when you're going to throw it. It's deception. And the best deception is personnel packages. That's the best deception in football. Because automatically defenses go, 3 wide receivers, the spread, they're throwing. 4 wide receivers, the spread, they're throwing. They go, 3 tight ends, they got to be running. Got to be running 3 tight ends. 2 running backs, they got to be running the ball. Not so fast, my friend. So I always say, my saying for the last 3 years, you guys have heard me say it, present power personnel packages and pivot to play action pass principles. Works every time. Like butter. You know who taught me that? Kyle Shanahan. We'll come back. We'll get into a little off the record right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday. The new theme of the day is basically all the pent-up frustration and the competitive hatred that Patrick has for Kawhi Leonard, who's celebrating a birthday today. So it's basically a dedication. It's a backhanded kind of playlist, a backhanded homage to Kawhi Leonard. All the songs that basically Patrick would play if he had a chance to make a playlist for Kawhi Leonard to show him how he felt. This would be it. And it would include a little Taylor Swift.
Yeah, put a little Taylor Swift in there.
Nothing wrong with that,
for the
man.
people.
I ain't mad about it. I actually, Chad went. Did Chad go to a Taylor Swift concert? Was that him?
No, we went to Harry Styles, right?
I thought it was okay.
I don't know if he could. I don't know on a radio salary if you could afford Taylor Swift.
I think you're right. It was Harry
because Taylor
Styles.
Swift was expensive.
It is expensive. Yeah. I know somebody that was trying to. Yeah, I know a lot of people that was trying to get those tickets. My wife actually has friends that were like trying to get a group together to like buy Taylor Swift tickets. Crazy.
Thousands of dollars.
Not my thing. Not my thing. I think it's her and like Beyonce are like the two hottest tickets in.
I get it, and that's the thing. Is like
concerts
I
right now.
love music. I would never. I would never. You'd be like, hey man, it's your favorite band of all time, and they're playing, and you're gonna go. It's gonna be like an intimate set, and be like, I don't have the money.
No,
I don't make enough to be able to throw that much money at something like that.
I agree.
It would have to be a fraction of what I make.
I'm with you. I don't really understand it. I don't get it. But I know she's really talented. But I have no Taylor Swift on my phone. Remember I talked to my man Harge about this? I have no Taylor Swift on my phone. And I probably should have some.
I don't either, but that's...
I'm going to... No. I really pride myself on having a diverse collection of music on my phone. Like, if it's somebody that we consider iconic, I was like, I got to have... If you're iconic, then you got to be something I like. Like, you can't become iconic and not have something that appeals to me.
I played that song. I think Kendrick Lamar is on this track, or at least there's a version of it with Kendrick Lamar on it. Is that a song that you'd be like, oh, I put that on my phone?
No,
that's what I'm saying. I think that's most Taylor Swift.
That's her radio hits. Radio hits are probably not the best songs for any artist. Can we agree? If you're really into an artist, their radio stuff is never their best stuff. If you got an artist that you love and their radio stuff their best stuff, they're not a great artist.
That's true, but I think if you have an artist that you're not really into, the radio stuff's probably going to be the best stuff you're going to find.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I need to go deep diving on Taylor Swift. I need to go down a rabbit hole with somebody. What do they call them? Swifties? What do y'all call? People who love Taylor Swift. Send me some Specs text line Taylor Swift recommendations for me to listen to, because I know she's got some bangers. She's got to.
Yeah, we won't say her name. Iconic. We won't say her name if you text it in. Don't worry.
Well, I got Beyonce on my phone. Beyonce's got some bangers. I got on my phone. I got Rihanna on my phone. Beyonce got bangers.
But that's Beyonce. I feel like is less like, and it's not against Taylor Swift. I feel like Taylor Swift is 100% aimed at teenage girls.
At teeny boppers. I got Justin Bieber on my phone.
See, I don't have any Justin Bieber on.
Justin Bieber bangs, man. Mature Bieber. I'm serious. I know y'all want to admit it, but I'm telling you, man. We know he's got talent.
I'm
y'all
not
just don't like him because he was like a sexing with a teeny boppers. I'm not that. I was getting into the man's actual catalog.
It's discography.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff, some decent stuff. And I got the decent stuff is on my phone. I don't have like the stuff radio hits.
Okay.
What's the Bieber radio hit? I don't even know what it is.
I know his Baby was the first one, but that was...
If I had that on my phone, you should investigate me. I should be investigated. It's like that guy that's at the kids Pixar movie by himself. It's like, where are your kids? Oh, I just came to see it. I really like these Pixar movies. It's like, okay, investigation. You need to be investigated, sir. All right. See, somebody says, don't hate on Swift. Somebody says, there goes the black card again. No. Black card has been suspended already. So technically, right now, I don't have a black card. So I'm good. I'm been suspended. So I can't be suspended again. Not while it's currently on suspension. So I'm okay. All right, there you go. I guess that's off the record. I don't know how we got into the Taylor Swift. Oh, yeah, can you play Bad Blood?
Play Bad Blood, yeah.
All right. You know what you should play? Since you're really playing songs that you want people you dislike to know how much you dislike them?
Yeah.
Hit them up. Tupac. That is the ultimate I hate you song.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we'll see what you think about this next one.
It was almost cringeworthy. It was. Listen to Hit Him Up today. You're like, man, Pac might have went too far. I think we agree Pac did go too far. I think he will a little bit. Even Pac would agree with that. So it says Rod bangers. Yeah, Justin Bieber's got a couple of bangers. What do you want me to say? Yeah, they jam. What do you mean?
I mean, he did work with some.
I'm talking about the later stuff too. I'm not talking about the stuff when he's like a teenager.
But he's worked with like
big
name hip hop artists and stuff like that.
Someone said, you sound like my daughter's bangers. I do hang around. So my wife's a lot younger than me, so I guess that keeps me. So that Bieber is 10 times better than Taylor Swift. Agree with Rod. Yeah, I think Bieber's not bad. I'm gonna go down a Taylor Swift rabbit hole for y'all. All right, I'm gonna find the bangers.
You're gonna come back and be like, I've been diving for treasure, and
I'm telling you, she's gotta have. She crashed. Someone said I'm not a fan, but she crashed Ticketmaster. That's how big she is. Yeah,
no, I get it. I'm not
she's
saying
huge.
I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying I don't know if there's anything that I would personally appreciate.
I know she's the biggest pop star in the world. Her and Beyonce are probably in that conversation. So if that's the case, me as being a pop culture critic, and I like to consume pop culture in all of its many forms, I got to get on this Taylor Swift thing.
I wouldn't have any Madonna on my phone. She was massive. I don't really have any. Like, there's stuff that is okay.
I don't have Madonna on my phone. I don't think I have any Madonna.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It is kind of the same thing, but Madonna, that was before I had the access to get it on iTunes. Madonna, you had to work to get it. You like Madonna? You're back in the day. If you liked an artist, you had to work to support that artist. You had to go to the record store.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't just pick the songs I liked from the record. I had to buy the whole damn record.
Unless you went down to whatever that place was at the mall, and you could go in the put the headphones on.
Yeah, that's like, it costs money. I ain't got that kind of money. I had to scrounge up enough nickels to go buy the actual record or the actual tape, and then listen to the whole thing. Remember that? You couldn't even, you want to fast forward through anything. You listen to the whole damn thing. So the whole album had to go hard. You wouldn't just listen to one song. Now, you sample it, listen to 2 or 3 songs. I bought those 2 or 3 songs, and I'm done with it. You know what I mean? So anyway, Taylor Swift conversation there. Had no idea it was going that route. I appreciate all you guys hitting us up on the Specs X line. We got a lot of Bieber fans. Someone says, I'm a believer and a Swiftie when my daughter is with me. You damn right. Yeah, a lot of you guys, listen, when your daughter's with you, you're doing the dances on TikTok and everything. I seen y'all. I might be the same damn way if I have a daughter, so I'm not going to judge y'all. All right. Someone says, Eazy-E, real MFing G's, right up there with him, with Hit 'Em Up. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. All right, we come back. We got one more hour. We got a lot to cover. We got to get into the Wemby effect for Spurs fans. My man Patrick's back there smiling. I want to talk about the most indispensable players for Texas football. We'll do that, too. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful, on the Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie, and that's when my man Patrick plays songs and jams. It's supposed to lead us down a path, breadcrumbs, clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day. And this theme is all about, well, his disdain, dislike, maybe even hatred, maybe strong of a word, but competitive hatred for one Kawhi Leonard, who's celebrating a birthday today. But he's a Spurs fan, and most of Spurs Nation, they are not happy with one Kawhi Leonard. So all of these songs are pretty much a backhanded homage to one Kawhi Leonard. All the songs on the playlist he would play for Kawhi to let him know exactly how he feels about him.
Yeah.
Little Ice Cube here.
Little Ice Cube.
Yeah. Oh, see, there you go. So now you got some diss tracks on
I
here.
got a diss track on here.
Got a diss track on there.
I had one ready to go.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, yeah, you can't play Pox. I mean, you can, but I don't know if you have to bleep the whole damn thing out. Not worth it. We don't want that.
There's some suggestive nature. I mean, this song is called No Vaseline, which is somewhat suggestive in itself.
Yeah. Yes, very true. Also, yeah, I mean, Pac started that song by saying, I blanked your wife.
Yeah, it's within the first, 10 words.
Yeah, it's like, he immediately in the diss track, usually diss track's supposed to be clever, like no Vaseline. He's like, oh, a little clever.
Yeah.
I know, I see where you're going there. No, Pac started off the song, hit him up by saying, that's why I effed your wife, you fat blank blank.
Yeah. He started off with the George. He started off with the George Costanza.
He really did.
He started off
the most obvious thing too. Like he was like, okay, yeah, that's Pac. That's a little low there.
You got to start with Jerk Store.
Yeah, well,
and then you work your way up to it.
Did. Pac, yeah, he was not trying to get clever and beat around the bush there. No, that was one. We still don't know if the first part was true or not. We think it might have been. We still don't know. Faith, I think she said it was not true, but even if it wasn't true, it's like, Pac, why would you throw that grenade into the relationship like that? Pac did not care. Okay, we do care. We care about you guys. Thanks for all of your participation on the show. You've made the show really fun. We appreciate it. 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Patrick at It's Patrick Davis, any Twitterverse. I'm at Rod Babers, any Twitterverse. We're going to talk some. I get the Wemby effect here, and I also want to get into this story from Horns 24/7 about the most indispensable players for the Texas football team. So two things we'll get into. First, we have to go back and review a subject we talked about earlier in the show. And this is all the way into 3 o'clock. So I'm going all the way back, man, all the way back. I started out the show because I guess I was in a little bit of a mood. And I came in, basically came into the studio and I started the show with a rant. And the rant, it actually was a justified rant. But the rant was more about social contracts we have and people who violate these social contracts. And listen, not everybody wants to abide by the social contracts. And usually that would make you kind of an a-hole. You don't want to abide by the social contract, but that's fine. And examples of these social contracts are lines, right? Everybody stands in a line. That's a social contract too, all right? We all agreed. First person that gets there, hey, you get to have the service first or the product first. You got here. That's the beautiful thing. We've all probably experienced somebody skipping a line. All right, violating the social contract. Yep. It is what it is. We also have, there are small ones. Think about when you're walking into a door, you don't let the door slam shut on someone, right, that's walking behind you. You see them coming into the door, usually you stick a foot out, stick an arm out, hold the door for them like, hey, you know what, I acknowledge your presence as a human being. Social contract. Elevator, same thing. You don't let the elevator close. See somebody walking toward the elevator, you hit the button, hey, open elevator. You don't. Social contract.
Well, for the record, you fake hit the button. We all fake hit the button.
the elevator.
Yeah.
You are a sick mofo, Patrick. That is brilliant.
For the record,
you fake
I feel,
you fake it?
After a pandemic, I feel completely justified to be stuck in a tiny box with you.
That is true. Oh, that is a great point. Wow. Fake it. But you're right. They wouldn't be able to tell because all you do is move your finger.
You're just like, oh. And then the door's shutting. You're like, I'm trying.
Sorry.
And then they catch the door and you're like, it's hitting it though.
Oh,
it's
man.
Weird, this button.
Well, Patrick violates that social contract. Not all of us do. There are tons of these. I'm sure you guys can think of some other examples. And what I wanted to know was, what's the most violated of these social contracts that we all live with? Because, we're in a society. All right, we live by these, abide by these social contracts because it's better for the overall good of the society. When I was thinking about the most violated one, because I was on the road thinking about this, so I was trying to avoid road rage, getting my mind on something else and off my fellow citizens who cannot drive, and then that way they annoy me and I get road rage. Road rage leads to accidental racism. I don't want to be an accidental racist.
That sounds like the beginning of road rage. My fellow citizens.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I know the most violated of our social contracts. I think I figured it out. I believe it is those who don't use the left-hand lane for passing only. That is the most violated contract on the roadways, highways, freeways, whatever. There seems to be a ridiculous amount of people who don't understand that the left lane is for passing. If you are not passing or the fastest car on the road and there's a car behind you. Now, if you're not the fastest car on the road and there's nobody pressuring you to obviously change lanes and get over to the right, then stay in the left-hand lane, you're fine. But if somebody's behind you and you're in the left-hand lane and you're not the fastest car on the road, you should probably get over.
Yeah. It is annoying. I had this driving back from the beach where I'd be in the left-hand lane, and you'd be going faster than the car in the right-hand lane.
Yes.
But you're passing like 6 cars in a row, and then a car comes flying out of nowhere, going 20 miles per hour faster than you, and they get right up on you like you're being a huge – and you're like, I get it. I'm getting over as soon as I can.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be in your way, but you also can't expect me to go 105.
That is true. You should not agree. I'm not asking you to do that. That's why I say you should be aware of your surroundings. Yeah. You should see the person going that fast ahead of time to be able to go, all right, you know what, I need to make my way over a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think it's the most violated of our social contracts because people don't observe it very often. We do pretty good. Other than the airport where everybody violates social contracts. Nobody respects social contracts at the airport because that's Thunderdome. It's like every person for themselves. That's where manners go to die. Manners, dignity, and respect go to die at the airport. All right? That's why the prices are so ridiculous. They've got airport prices. We also got airport etiquette, which is no etiquette at all. My point is the social contracts are in place so that we all can get along and, we can have a very peaceful, time, even though we're all dealing with our stress. We all got to get somewhere. We all got to get somewhere at a certain time. But if you're in the left-hand lane, just get over. Just get over. If you're not, if you're not dictating the tempo of traffic. Some people like to dictate the tempo of traffic. That's them. No. I'm going to be the fastest person on the road. And let them. That's good for all of us. They be the rabbit. All right? They'll be out in front, and we can all benefit and know, hey, that person there is going excessively high speeds over the speed limit, even to the point where it might be dangerous, but at least I know, hey, if the cops come out, they're pulling that person over and not the rest of us.
I'm going to see him pulled over and be like, see you in a minute.
See you, man. Thanks for your service. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I'm just saying, there you go. But I think there's another point, too, because I had a texter bring this up, too. The second most violated social contract probably is also on the roads, and it is the lack of a courtesy wave. It is. Mm-hmm. When you are selfless enough to let another human being over in traffic, some of y'all in traffic right now, and you let somebody else over, and they didn't give you a courtesy wave. And it's like, where's the what effort does it take to lift the hand just a little bit and let them see you wave it a little bit through the back window? That's it. That's all they want to see. You will make their day. All right? That's it. Just that little show of, hey, reciprocity. I see it. I appreciate you. Throw it out there. Even my man Trey Elling made it his Twitter handle. He was so passionate about it. Courtesy wave.
I want to give you a little update. I'm watching the screen up here. I believe the Rangers are running away with these All-Star starters. I believe we've got 3 already.
I told you they'd have 3 or 4.
We got Simeon, Seager, and Josh Jung, the third baseman.
I told you.
Looks like they're at 3 already of what I've just looked up and seen. The last 3 guys have all gone to the Rangers, and now they're up in there for a catcher as well.
Yeah, I told you. I said they're gonna have 3 or 4 All-Stars. I said they'll have 3 or 4. It wouldn't shock me if they get 4. I know.
And that's another. Their catcher, Jonah Heim.
I'm telling you, the Rangers. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised at all. 3 or 4. I said it early in the show. I said they're gonna have 3 or 4 All-Stars.
I mean, we're at 4 starting All-Stars right now. Not just All-Stars. 4 starting All-Stars.
Agreed. No, it's crazy. I totally agree with you. It's unbelievable. But it just kind of shows you the really successful season the Rangers has. And I posed this question to Rangers fans, and I got an answer from Rangers fans. I appreciate you guys. 512-337-3776. And the question essentially was, when was the last time the Rangers had a series this important? The series they have upcoming with the Astros this weekend, where they're in first place, and the Astros are they second or third? Oh, no,
they're second right now.
Second right now.
They're tied for second.
With the Angels. So because this series, man, they could end up with an 8-9 game lead on the Astros, or the Astros could really close the gap on the Rangers right before the All-Star break and close that gap to a 2 or 3 game lead in the division. And the last time the Rangers had a series this important, Rangers fans told me on the Specs text, I had multiple Rangers fans tell me World Series. That was the last time.
I mean, I'll give them the playoff series in 2016. It's a playoff series. It's more important than a pre-All-Star break series. I will say that but it's still 7 years.
Time.
That's still 7 years.
A long time since they've had a series this important. So, for Rangers fans, it's big, and it's a lot of momentum considering what they've just done with these All-Star votes. I'm not surprised, though.
Wow. And that division, because Ohtani gets a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to go with, or I guess he's been named the DH. Ohtani's been named the DH, haven't gone into pitching. And then Lewin Diaz from the Orioles is the only non-Ranger or Angel, only one not from that division in the AL starting.
And Marcus Simeon's going to be coming up on the show. I would be surprised if I hadn't done research, and all the research told me based on the All-Star voting, they were going to have 3-4 guys in easy. They may get a couple of more that we're not.
If they get a pitcher in,
that's what I'm saying. That's how loaded this Rangers, at least loaded the roster is, but how good they've been this season, I should say. And then, by the way, they paid for it. I believe they have the second out of all the division leaders right now. They have the second highest payroll of all the division leaders. So they expected this. They paid good money for it. Okay, let's get to the Wemby effect here, and then we'll talk some Texas football here. So the Wemby effect is real. Apparently, Victor Wembanyama and the financial gains that the Spurs organization is already benefiting from. So according to, I got this from the San Antonio Express News, it says in the last month, Spurs sports and entertainment communications coordinator Lucy Kneb says the organization has received roughly 4,000 new season ticket deposits, with 51% of those new holders being Gen Z or millennials. That's crazy to think about, because most people think about the Spurs as being kind of an old, kind of fudgety organization. Not the case. You got a lot of young people in that community. They are excited about Wemby coming to town. In addition to those record high figures provided by the communications coordinator, Lucy Kneb, the first 48 hours following the selection of Wemby on draft night saw a 3,000% increase in year-over-year online traffic and sales. 3,000% increase in online traffic and sales. Much of those sales included Spurs-owned merchandise stemming from the Spurs fan shop inside AT&T Center, the Spurs fan shop website, and the mobile merchandise truck that sits outside the Spurs homestead. How about this? On the trading card market, those figures are even more astronomical. Wembanyama card sales on eBay have reached this is, I cannot believe this figure. Like I said, I got it from mysanantonio.com. It says those figures are even astronomical. Wembanyama card sales on eBay have reached well over 1.1 million in the last month. Damn, that's crazy. According to a report from KENS, the figures provided by a card purchaser. Also, I said if you going back and look at card sales for the 7-footer only began to spike within the last 30 days. After a moderately slow trek of about 1,000 cards being sold on eBay, Wemby's card sales have climbed over 3,000 units sold by draft night. The increase in sale quota also saw a growth in cost for Wembanyama's card at an average of $89, with price ranges online going from anywhere from 99 cents to $11,000. Yeah. And how about this? According to the report, redemption cards of Wemby during his time with the Metropolitan 92 French team are going for an insane amount of money at live auctions on eBay. One listing has a Wembanyama redemption gold base Metropolitan 92 French card priced at $23,000.
Come on now.
$23,000, Patrick.
Lord.
What the hell? I wish we would have got one of them earlier.
I know we should have been.
Damn it!
I should have been doing this when I knew the Spurs were
Why
going to get it.
did you go on, Pat? You did this 3 years ago. You were talking about this like 2 years ago.
I know.
Why didn't you look for one of these cards, man?
I'm not a smart investor in the card market.
My man Jeff Howard probably could have found us one too, because he's like in that card
Yeah.
circles and in that world.
I don't know why you want this. Nah, trust me. I'm feeling it.
It was going for $23,000.
I'll tell you.
So try to find your rookie card, Wemby rookie, if you can. Basically, it's like,
I will say, I think that you could tell that when you say it's the last like 30 days, it's been when he started doing the interviews and when people started to see him as the person instead of just the prospect.
Totally agree.
And they're like, oh, wait, this kid's built different. Like his mind is built different. I think that kind of may have opened some things up.
Oh yeah, when he's with the media and like I said, saying everything right, talking about how much he loves the organization and showing everybody how mature he is for a young kid this age. Hell, he went out to the Legends dinner with Sean Elliott, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and Manu. And Sean Elliott says one of the questions he was asking was, how do I get proper sleep on the road for road games? That's very concerning for him. And Sean Elliott was like, I've never talked to a rookie about how to get sleep on the road. Usually it's like, hey, that club, that's that club. I heard a club. They got a club there. I heard they got some nice places to eat, stuff like that. No, he's talking about I want to get some sleep on the road, man. Wow. That, like I said, next level, man.
And then for anybody who's a Spurs fan, when you buy it, when he does the draft and he's crying and saying, I'm a damn Spur, that just puts everybody in like, you're like, oh, well, no, he's one of us.
I know.
He's one of us now.
One of us. One of us.
It makes it, that shelling out the money for a jersey just got a lot easier when you were like, oh, he wants to be here?
Them jersey sales about to be crazy. Well, he's number one, right?
He's got to be.
I thought he was. I thought I saw it, but
I haven't looked. I'm just,
I think they have the jersey out.
I don't know. I find it hard to believe Brandon Miller would be higher. And in Portland, it doesn't seem like.
Talking about, he's going to be number one. He's going to be number one jersey sales. To start out.
Yeah, because it's new.
Yeah, exactly. I would say he's the star.
Like LeBron, like unless LeBron goes to a different team, then his jersey sales are really good because it's a new team. But it has to be someone.
Dame Lillard could go to a new team.
Yeah,
something
Dame
crazy
goes
like
to a new
that.
team.
That could be something.
Yeah, I don't think Harden's gonna get on the new team.
Nobody cares about Harden anymore.
Bradley Beal's not getting on the Suns.
No way. Maybe Ja. If Ja comes back and Ja
does well. If Kyrie goes to Phoenix, I bet those will sell really well.
That's actually
because I will tell you something, which I didn't realize until I went to the Spurs Brooklyn game this year.
Yeah, you told me this.
That kids loved Kyrie Irving. Young kids were infatuated in love with Kyrie Irving. And so you're like, that's who buys massive amounts of jerseys because your parents want you to be happy.
Yeah.
Adults don't buy all the jerseys. We just don't.
You're right.
It's kids are going to buy your majority.
And the shoes, you buy them for the kids. Yeah.
And so that I could believe if he were to go to a different team this offseason, like if he went to L.A. or if he goes to Phoenix or if he goes to any other team other than the Mavs, I could see. And he'll sell good because he changed his number in the Mavs too. And he signs a longer-term deal. Mavs fans may buy into it a little bit more.
For the whole season yeah.
So he will have a good number, but I still don't put him above Wemby.
I think Wemby's going to win it, man. Like I said, dude, we didn't talk about this. The NBA.
Also, let's not forget, he has an entire country too.
That actually is that's more so than any of the points that we've made. That is why he's going to be number one in jersey sales because the entire country of France is going to buy his jersey and his alone.
Yeah,
that's it. Okay, yeah, good point. But we also we didn't talk about it a lot, but we brought it up I think briefly. The ratings for the NBA draft were unbelievable. It was like the highest ratings they've had in years, and there was no drama in the draft. Everybody knew who was getting drafted number one. There was a little bit of drama about the Charlotte Hornets, who they would draft in like 2 and 3. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of drama. People were tuning in to see Wemby. They really were. The 2023 NBA draft was the most watched NBA draft ever on any network, according to Nielsen. Up 24% from last year's first round. Why? What was the story? What was different?
Well, and there is
a generational prospect.
A generational prospect, and there's something to be said of. So in wrestling, one of the things that they would always say Vince McMahon wanted was somebody who you notice in an airport.
Yeah.
And so you wanted big bodybuilders, tall guys, all those things because they know
stand out.
Victor Wembanyama is one of those guys because of how just gigantically tall he is. That he is somewhat of an attraction in his own right. That I think people are tuning in to be like, oh, I heard about this guy that's supposed to be this super tall, whatever. And so you may just turn on the channel just because you heard about this Frenchman that now is listed at 7'3.5", but seems to be even taller than that. I could see that'll get you some views too.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point. No, the NBA should embrace that too, like Vince McMahon did. Smart move. Okay. Next segment, we're going to audible here. I'm going to save my takes on most indispensable players for Texas football tomorrow. It's an evergreen topic. It's not football season officially just yet because there is a more relevant topic, the suspensions in the NFL for gambling. We haven't got to them yet.
Yes. And you know what's going to be fun tomorrow, too?
What's that?
You know about 5 o'clock tomorrow what happens?
Give it to me.
NBA players are still allowed to start making deals, start agreeing to things.
Oh, the free agency
So
frenzy?
we will get some Friday afternoon
Nice.
craziness
I love
of
it.
our Twitter feeds going nuts.
It's
That'll be
fantastic.
good tomorrow. But let's talk some
We'll get
some negative stuff to get out on Thursday.
We haven't gotten into it yet, so we'll do that. We'll talk about the NFL players who have been suspended for gambling, and we'll give you an update on the All-Star game selection. Rangers, because Rangers well represented. Let's just say that.
Infield's looking pretty rangery.
pretty good if you're a Rangers fan. All right, we'll come back. We'll discuss that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful down the horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Patrick, on a new theme Thursday, continues with the new theme being songs essentially that he would play for Kawhi Leonard on his birthday, which is today, to show him how Spurs fans really feel about Kawhi Leonard on his birthday.
See, this is why we're in it with. I don't care anymore. We got Wemby.
Yeah, you're at this point, you're there.
We don't care anymore.
You're at this point now where you had a terrible, bad breakup. That was really bad for Spurs fans. And now you're doing so well in your life. You saw them out somewhere and you're perfectly fine, having a conversation. And you're like, hey, man, is everything going well? I hope you're doing okay. It's not awkward at all because both of y'all, I think, are where y'all want to be. He's on the West Coast, Kawhi Leonard, close to his hometown, comfort with the Clippers, and he's getting paid big money. And the Spurs are on their way to, starting another dynasty potentially. Everybody wins. So sorry, no need for the ill will.
No.
And the hard feelings.
No.
There you go.
Go live your life.
This is cathartic for you.
Yeah.
I like that. Good
Yeah,
for you.
I'll
Moving
still
on.
tell jokes, but
That's all right. Everybody talks a little ish about their ex. Doesn't mean you don't wish them well.
yeah.
I wish all my exes well. I really do. I hope they're all doing
I'd
really well.
love to beat you in the playoffs.
Exactly. I wish you well, but and hopefully I'm happy. Happy as you. Happier even. Okay, Specs text line. We talked about the most violated of our social contracts. And shout out to my man. I think I called him a texter, and I shouldn't have called him a texter. He's I like Ike. It's family, so my bad. I like Ike. You the man. Original Chewbacca says no courtesy wave and no blinker. Most violated of our social contracts. That is true. Not using your signal is the worst, says a texter. Dumpster man, lack of turn signal is the most broken contract on the road. Okay, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe it's people do y'all not use y'all signals? Who are these heathens on the road? You're not using a signal? This is how we communicate with our cars, people. You must use a signal to communicate. I need to know when you're getting over. You can know when I'm getting over. Let's communicate. All right? Some of y'all this is why I would say nobody wants to admit they're a bad driver, but based on just observations, at least half the drivers on the road are bad drivers. But nobody will admit. Have anybody in their life ever admitted to you they're a bad driver? Anybody? Anybody ever said, man, I'm a terrible driver, admitted it?
I've had people admit it, but it is a very rare
It's
thing.
rare. It's usually people, everybody thinks they're a great driver.
It's normally when somebody doesn't want to drive. When, nah, you probably don't want to ride with me. Nah, we'll take your car, man.
You can be right about that.
That's normally when you hear it.
Oh, man. Someone says, come on, guys. Cops never see or catch that guy. If you're trailing him, you better be at least 7 or 8 cars back. The officer is already upset he didn't have the radar set when the rabbit ran through the garden. Fastest rabbit never gets served for dinner. It's that dumb bunnies that fell for the, hey, guys, follow me. I've always had a lot of luck with the rabbit. Like I've actually never been caught as like the slow one behind him. The rabbit usually works for me, but hey man, you go with your own experience. Usually works for me. But I appreciate you guys and all of your different recommendations and all your thoughts about the broken contracts on the Specs text line. Appreciate that. 512-337-3776 for everybody out there. Also, I want to throw this out there real quick before we move on to talk about these suspensions. Texter here, ATX James. This was actually in the 3 o'clock hour. He was commenting on our topic about social contracts being broken. He said, Rod, out of the window with all that don't judge drivers on their cars. If we got rid of Nissan Altima drivers, the Kia drivers, and the Honda drivers, there'd be no accidents. See, my point is people profile others based on the cars they drive. We know this. And some of that profiling, as I've warned, will lead to accidental racism because you'll profile any ethnicity and that kind of department, which you should try to stay away from that. And then you don't want that to be associated with road rage. Then you're profiling somebody on what kind of car they drive and ethnicity, and you're also angry and mad. That could end up being very bad. Accidental racism. So to just avoid that altogether, but I will say if I'm judging people based on the cars and just types of cars, people who drive these types of cars, and how, their prowess as a driver based on the type of car they drive, I would say Tesla drivers are easily the worst. Just me. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
I love y'all, but y'all are the worst.
No, I'll take the over the top expensive sports car in Austin where I go, I don't think you're a terrible driver. I don't think you understand how the highways work here, and you going 112 miles per hour to go the next 7 feet and then slamming on your brakes and then changing lanes and then changing lanes and then changing lanes and then changing lanes.
That's the California style.
And then I pull up and I'm like, dude, we're here at the same time. Like, I get it. I get not wanting to go slow because I don't like going slow either.
I don't like going slow.
But the whole weaving through
like
traffic
racing
thing,
to a red light either.
Yeah, that thing where it's like, I get it, man, but what are you trying to accomplish here? You just almost caused 4 accidents by cutting people off.
You know why sports cars suck in Austin? Too many potholes.
Yeah,
on
it's true.
the back. Like, I don't know how you have a car that low to the ground and it survives. My car is way off the ground, and I still feel a pothole. Like, I feel sometimes I got to check my tire. It's so damn bad.
Oh, yeah. When you hear it, and you're like, that felt like a lot of metal touching something.
It's like, that didn't sound right.
That felt like rubber on road right there. That felt like I dropped some.
Exactly. All right. Enough discussion about drivers on the road. We love all y'all. That's the whole point. Okay, let's talk about the suspensions that have taken place for the NFL in wake of the latest gambling investigation. So there are multiple suspensions here we have to report on. So they suspended Isaiah Rodgers. Remember, he was a player from the Colts, the cornerback from the Colts. They did suspend him along with Rashad Berry of the Colts and a free agent, Demetrius Taylor, all suspended indefinitely for betting on NFL games in 2022. All 3 players will miss at least one season, the entire 2023 season, and then will be eligible to apply for reinstatement at one point. The NFL has also confirmed that Nicholas Ferrer, I'm sure I screwed that name up, Tennessee Titans offensive lineman, suspended for the first 6 games of the 2023 season for betting on non-NFL sports at the team facility. He is not suspended for training camp or preseason. Interesting. So he can participate in training camp or preseason, but not the actual games. And we all know, obviously, there are multiple players that are dealing with suspensions currently right now. At least they will be. Jamison Williams, Detroit Lions, and a couple other guys.
And we know that the Colts have released Isaiah Rodgers and Rashad Berry. They released both of them today.
Yeah.
So basically, you got suspended for the year. Cool. We don't need you anymore.
And the crazy thing about it, that guy was getting ready to start for him.
Yeah.
Isaiah Rodgers.
Hey, that was part of that Gilmore trade.
Yeah, he had started like 5 or 6 games last year.
They trade off Gilmore and say, we're going to put the young guy in, and now you're back on it. Yeah, but both of them were released, so you're sitting at, when you say one of them was a free agent, you're like, no, 3 of them are free agents.
That's brutal. Yeah. I'll just say this about the gambling thing. This is my thoughts on the gambling issue for the NFL, because this is just the tip of the iceberg for them. Every corporation in this country, I guess the Supreme Court has decided that corporations have the same rights as people. And these different corporations, they all, like people, because we create these entities, and like these creations, we make them in our own image, so they have our flaws at times. They're flawed like we are. Not like God making us in his own image, but I digress. They have skeletons in their closet, like we all do, that we hope nobody finds out about. And that we try to manage when people do find out about our skeletons. Like, hey, I'm not that bad. Listen, I'm working through that. I'm doing this, whatever. I'm going to therapy, whatever it may be. The skeletons in the closet for the NFL, there are 2 of them now. It used to be just 1. Actually, it was 2. And now it's still 2, but it was a different issue. It was the 2 issues, the 2 skeletons in the closet in the NFL were CTE, still there. That's still one of their big issues, the concussion crisis. And the second one was the protest during the national anthem. Like, that was a big issue, because it festered and became something way bigger than the actual protest itself. Right? It became a much larger macro conversation how the president was talking about it and taking stances on it. It became something the NFL did not want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's why Colin Kaepernick will never sniff an NFL field again, because they never want to have that discussion again. And he is part of the skeletons in their closet, and they're going to bury that thing deep, 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 deep. They don't give a damn. So now the new skeletons that replace the Colin Kaepernick issue is gambling. This has always been an issue for the NFL, going back way, way back in the day, because the NFL understands that gambling actually is one of the reasons the NFL is so popular. It's a perfect gambling sport.
Yeah.
And they know this. They just don't like to promote that. Now that they're in business with these different casinos and different, gambling websites, entities, all these, and it's becoming more and more mainstream because it's more legalized across the country, the NFL realizes they might have a bigger issue on their hands than they anticipated with their own players gambling and breaking their rules. So either got to change the rules to make the rules a little bit more modernized or progressive, or they're going to start they're suspending guys for a year, or they're going to start working harder to make sure that agents, teams, coaches, administrators, everybody's working together to educate the players on what they're allowed to do within the new gambling ecosystem.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's the thing of, I get if you're, I think the rules will get lessened on gambling on other things a little bit more, where it'll still be a suspension, but it'll be a lighter suspension if you get caught gambling on basketball or baseball. And they're like, okay, you can't do that. And it'll still be like, if you're here, you can't do it. In the team facilities, you can't do it. But yeah, gambling on the NFL is always going to be a massive suspension because it is the line between all of a sudden this whole everyone saying it's fixed. You're like, no, this is as close as it's going to get to a script and being fixed is a guy who decides to not make a tackle to make $1 million or make $100,000.
Yep.
He doesn't care. He's getting paid the same way they're waiting on his contract. And he knows, well, I took the line here and I get they're not betting on their games right now. But if you're not betting on, if you think if your morality is I can bet on other games in the NFL, knowing that I'm going to get in trouble, you have to know you're going to get in trouble if you're betting on the NFL, even if it's not your team. Then it gets closer and closer to, well, man, I lost the last 6 bets. How am I going to make that up? Well, I'll just bet on my own team, and then we'll cover this. We'll win, but we're not going to cover 14 points. And then you're up 7. You're just like, let him go.
Slippery slope, man.
Let him go.
No, I'm with you, and I think the NFL now is waking up to realize, damn, a lot more of our players are gambling than we thought, and a lot of them are uninformed and ignorant to the rules. And so they need to have the agents working on these players, letting them know the rules, coaches, the player personnel guys or the player development guys within the organizations, the teams, they should be working on it, and the NFL. And by the way, there needs to be some type of ownership and responsibility on the part of the players. Where, hell, you've seen these stories. Go educate yourself on the damn rules about gambling.
Yeah.
Or decide not to gamble during the season.
Well, and we know gambling's been a thing before. There just wasn't the same paper trail. You go to a bookie or whatever else, or even if you went to Vegas, you gamble on whatever. But you just paid cash, and you got paid out in cash, and there wasn't necessarily the paper trail that now you're on your phone.
The cyber trail
where
now.
they go, we know the location where you did it. You were pinged where you did it. You have your name, your bank account, all this stuff. It's all recorded now.
You'd be better off using a bookie now.
Yes.
Yeah, now you actually, the old school bookie is what they need.
By the way, don't do that also. But
what is it, right? That's less of a paper trail. You can just go to him with cash, and then now you got the cyber trail leads you right to where you are pinging your damn location.
Yes.
Yeah, and then all these NFL teams are NFL teams, but the NFL itself working with all of these different gambling companies and their partners now. And part of the partnership, the NFL has been open about this, is you do security for us. We'll give you our list of names of NFL players. We need you to constantly have your algorithm working to find these players. And as soon as they come up, just let us know.
Yeah.
So it's too easy. I don't know why the players are still getting caught. I guess because, like you said, this is kind of grandfathered in. They've been doing this for a long time now.
Yeah.
But if we get more suspensions after this, it should be based on bad deeds already done, not stuff that's happened recently. Like, guys are getting caught right now for stuff they're gambling on right now or even next season. That, to me, is almost unforgivable. Like, you've been paying attention.
How dumb are you?
How stupid are you, man?
Hey, man, you know how we had those 7 meetings you were so mad that you had to go to? Do you not listen to anything we said? Like, the first thing you should have seen on the email, it said, don't gamble meeting. Yeah. And you should be like, oh, I shouldn't gamble.
It is a test if you got a problem, right? The NFL used to always say about their street drugs. They test for street drugs for like 3 months out of the year. They start in like July. And you get tested one time. And when you get tested one time for street drugs, you're never tested again the entire year. And they got a 3-month window, at least the old CBA, 3-month window where they can test you. And it starts in like July, like right around the mini camps and everything. And I had an NFL exec tell me, he's like, the test is really not about, the window. We know guys can get around that. We figure that if you cannot avoid the drugs for 3 months, that 3-month window, you got a problem.
Yeah.
You need to be caught. Right? And honestly, that makes a good point. It's just 3 months. You got to go 3 months without doing the street drugs in the NFL. The rest of the time, you can do whatever drugs you want to. Once you get that drug test, you're good. You're golden. And guys still get caught.
Hey, it's we say the social constructs in life. People will be a-holes until they get called out for being a-holes. And so this is the same thing where people go, I'm better. I'm smarter than the system.
I'm smarter than the system.
Well, here you go.
Right?
Oh,
No,
were
you're
you
not.
smarter than the system?
Nope.
Well, then have fun finding a new job.
All right. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up, put in Evan, let you know what's on tap right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 Horn. All right, we're up against it. So real quick, Rangers, 4 elected starters for the American League in the 2023 All-Star Game. It is the most elected starters for a team since 2016 when the Cubs had 5, Red Sox had 4. Also, the first All-Star starters for the Rangers since 2012 when Texas had its previous record of 3. Shout out to the Rangers, man. Well represented.
For a turnaround for last year to this year. Woo. Good for y'all.
Good for y'all, man. Happy for we got that Rangers-Astros series starting up tomorrow.
We got to whoop y'all 4 straight wins for the Astros. I didn't realize it was a 4-game series. We play till Monday.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be – oh, yeah, you were playing when we start.
So you can go, hey, we're catching back up. It's going
to be damn good. I will preview that tomorrow. If you missed any part of the shows, go to hornfm.com. If you missed them, you can catch up with them right there. We appreciate all you guys hanging in, all your participation. You made the show great today. You're the real MVP. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves. But more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.